The nice thing about imposter syndrome is, at some point, it never goes away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
It never goes away.
It never goes away.
Wait, so do you still have that gross ass pinky now that you're not working at the coffee shop anymore? Damn! It's gone.
What? Walking Blind is hosted by overly emotional dudes who overthink and overanalyze everything. Nothing the hosts say should be taken as medical advice or opinion. They're not professionals. They're about to make that very clear.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Walking Blind podcast. The podcast where we like to normalize checking in on your homies. If you like what we do, please follow, like, and subscribe. It helps. I'm Mike. That is also Mike. And we're doing things. This is a first for us. We're here. It's early in the morning. I guess not that early.
It's not that early anymore.
Yeah, not that early. But we have our homies from A Moment's Notice in the house. Our boy Greg and Jesse. And also Sergio and
Kitty.
Off camera, behind the scenes.
Off camera, homies.
Yeah.
We managed to fit a ton of people in this tiny room. But it's okay.
But dude, we're doing it.
We're doing
Dude,
it. Dude, welcome, boys.
I'm
Yeah.
so pumped about this.
Dude.
Literally geeked.
I'm excited that this actually worked out because, you know, when you'd hit us up, like, I think your message was literally, "What does it take to get on the Walking Blind podcast?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, literally just nothing. Just come hang out
Yeah,
with
you want to come on?
Look, man, I just didn't know if I was even cool enough to be here. I was like, dude, this is so sick. I listen to this every week, and then when you guys skipped that 1 week, I was like, motherfucker. I'm like, oh, and then you guys commented about it, and they're like, yeah, so we didn't do last week, so we kind of had to make up for this week. I'm like, oh yeah, sick, awesome, great. Yeah. I was like, hell
We're
yeah.
like, we skipped this week and nobody said anything, so we just
Yeah, you literally you said that, and I was like, all right.
And then since last week was just him and I was like, oh yeah, shit, we did an episode. I didn't normally we do a little clip to post the episode.
Right.
You still never sent me a.
I know. I thought about it when I saw your video. It's been wild, guys. It's been a little crazy.
It's been crazy.
It's been crazy.
That seems like this year.
Yeah.
This year has been kind of crazy for everyone, I feel like.
Dude, speaking of crazy, you guys literally is this at the end of the run or do you?
Yeah, we're at the end.
Yeah, we
this
just played our last show last night.
This is like the capstone to the tour. We go home after this.
Yeah.
Where was day one?
Reno, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, so you did that drive Sacramento to Reno to play the first show?
Yeah. That one wasn't bad. It was Reno to Idaho Falls that
Dude.
night.
Oh, so you just went fucking...
Bro, we did like a 13-and-a-half-hour overnight drive on
Who
day
routed
2.
This?
Yeah, I don't know.
Our booking agent.
Yeah. Start flaming
yeah.
people right away.
Like, so
We love you, please.
Yeah.
Just
Never
don't
again.
get rid of us.
Put one stop in the middle.
Yeah.
Please.
Well, that's
that's reality.
West Coast touring.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
the state. I think that it's just there's so much ground to cover between a lot of those cities, especially once you're getting more into the mountains as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're really. I'm saying add a stop there's something there. You know what I mean? There's just not. It was I think it was 13 straight hours of just desert driving.
For that first show, were any of the bands from there that are on the run with you guys?
No.
Resider had the worst one actually because they had to drive up from San Diego for the first show in Reno because that's where they're from. So.
And it was kind of crappy because we were trying to figure out, there was a bunch of booking problems just being the size we are. There's a lot of venues aren't gonna really be yeah, totally So it was we were trying to find locals, and the first date completely fell through. The venue was yeah, we haven't heard anything. And I'm what? No locals. And then our homies in Everglade were yeah, it went to our request and we didn't see it. And then we
Fuck.
it was too late. And I was tight. So we could have played at the venue. We had no openers, and I was I mean, we've played there, so we have a little bit of a pool, but it wasn't great. And I was okay. And then our friends were hey, since the venue canceled, we'll play a house show. And the house show was actually popping.
It was tight. Yeah.
Yeah, it was tight. That was it was kind of crappy because everything that could have gone wrong with our rig kind of did for a second there, and then it all worked, and we're okay, cool. We kind of worked out the kinks, and then Idaho Falls, we were okay, now we're we played a really good set.
It was like a warm up show, I mean, not to say that playing a house show is not to be taken seriously. I think one thing that we all like shows a show.
Yeah,
like it doesn't matter if you're playing to 500 people. It doesn't matter if you're playing to five people. You know, like, and it was super sick because we, everybody that was there like went out of their way to buy merch to like get us going. So we sold a good amount of merch that night, and it was good. You know, it just gave us a really low pressure situation and just figured out, and play through the set for the first time, make the worst mistakes right off the bat to, just get
dude.
Yeah, get it out in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then we hit Idaho Falls, and it was just like, we just were like, poof, like, all right, cool, we're good.
Yeah.
So, and you guys are, like, we kind of talked about this a little before, but you guys are running, like, full in-ears tracks.
Yep.
You guys are everything.
Yep.
Do you guys have somebody running all that for you, or are you guys doing it DIY? Like you're
pretty much Greg. Yeah. We've got our rack that we set up.
So
we get our ins and outs, and then he sets everything up. So
when you actually have to load in as a vocalist.
Yeah, actually no. Okay. So okay.
No, he does merch.
I do a lot in this band actually. Like everyone's like, oh, the vocalist is actually helping out. I'm like, actually, like I built the in-ear rig.
Listen, we
like,
all say that.
He does the most. For real, he does the most.
Yeah, because I was a bassist in like hardcore bands and stuff. So like I've only been a vocalist twice. Like when I first started doing music, and then like now this. And so I've been playing bass for so long that I just like I fell in love with it. I played a lot of hardcore, and like that's like my roots. I love playing hardcore bass. Like that genre like has so much fun bass lines that I'm like, ooh, I'm just gonna lose my shit on stage. Like that's my bread and butter. But like when I started this band, I was like, I don't fucking know. Like I'm like, how do I do the metalcore thing? And I'm like, I had to like figure out. Like I was like, because I wanted to do something different, like something that was like out of the blue. And then I was like, okay, and then I'm gonna build in-ears and all this other stuff. And now I'm like, so when something goes wrong and everyone's like, what's going wrong? I'm like, I'm still very new to this.
One of our like things we're gonna be doing now that we're done is getting everybody else up to speed on the rigs, so that we don't have to just like
rely on
deer in the headlights at Greg when something goes wrong. Is like, hey, it's not, and I don't know why.
And I'm over there like, yes.
We had for the first time ever on our last run, we had in-ears, and we didn't figure it out until like halfway or maybe toward the end of the tour that Martin and I we both, our sound was just like not what we wanted. Like I had everything dialed in that I wanted, but I wasn't getting it. Martin, same thing, and we realized that our channels were
So you were getting Martin's mix?
Yeah. And so I'm like, I don't like this. I'm like, but for me, I'm like, I can hear myself.
Right.
So like, and I've never had that ever. I've always been
it's
like
a game changer, bro.
Yeah. One ear
really
plug in
is.
and one ear plug open.
That's what I do.
Deaf on this side. So it's like, I was like, I can at least hear myself so I can get through this.
Yeah.
And that was helpful. But then once we figured it out, I was just like, what is that? Oh my gosh, I can hear exactly what I want now. I had my own.
Dude, it's kind of awesome because like originally it was just myself and the drummer and like we had a previous guitarist that like, and he's actually playing guitar for Hoods now.
Oh, sick.
And so he was like very like anti, like he's like hardcore guy. Like he's like, I'm not in-ears, no, not happening. Yeah. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like and like then like all these guys were like, I want ears, and I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. And we get Sergio ears, and the same thing happens. I'm like, why is my pack and his pack like doing some weird? And I'm like, okay, and I'm like, I can't, and I'm like having to. I was like, you know what? And I just gave him mine, and I'm like, okay, we're good. Yeah. And I was like, and then I started like mixing it, and I was like, okay, I got my mix, I'm fine. But it like took me like a week, and I was like, I don't know what the hell's going on, and I'm like literally losing my mind. I'm like calling Nick, and I'm like, hey, dude, like, and he's like, yep. And I'm like, good, all right, great. And I'm like, no help, but you're an engineer and you have no guidance here. He's like, I do the studio thing, not the live thing. And I'm like,
fair.
So I had to like call homies. I'm like, yo, dude, like, I know you do sound. Like, what's up? Like, I called our like sound guy who does like our sound for Sacramento, like when we're playing in that area. And I'm like, Kevin, and he's like, sup? I'm like, I need your help. He's like, I got you. So he helped us out. And
like, shout out Kevin, dude.
Yeah, dude. Kevin?
He's the last couple of times he's done sound for us live has been like unbelievable.
Dude. Sound helps, man.
Dude, honestly, like, well, like, because, like, we're playing this show in, like, November, and, like, the PM was like, yeah, he's only done sound, like, here once, and I was like, yeah, no, I don't care. Like, I'm still hiring him. Like, because, like, he knows us to, like, a T now. Yeah. He's done, like, the last 3-4 shows with us, so it's like, I'm like, no, dude, like, he even does, like, our outside rig. Like, so we played Titan Fest, which is, like, a local festival that's happening, and it's
Shout
like...
out to Titan.
Oh, yeah.
They're cool dudes.
Bro, those guys are so amazing. Yeah, you guys met them, didn't you? Yeah. We
played with them a couple months ago.
Yeah. Dude,
they crushed Titan Fest. Like
it's like 4 times bigger than it was last year. Like they were like Ryan had me PM the last Titan Fest, and he was like, dude, like he was talking on a podcast, and he was like, dude, shout out Greg, like literally, like he was PMing that whole entire day, and we were like stressed out, and he was just directing bands. I was like, because this is what I did. I worked at a music venue, so like I know how to do that. I'm like, no, you go here, you go here, and I'm like moving everybody. And he was like, dude, if it wasn't for you, I don't think I would have been able to handle this. Like, it was like so much stress on a festival day. Like, you know how festivals are. You're
like, so next Titan Fest, you can throw me a little.
Dude, I didn't get paid for it, so like I don't really care. And then like, but like I was like, yo, like let me get like some creative freedom here. Like let me like recommend some bands so like we can get the homies out there, because I think like that would be tight. So like we're like trying to get Resider. I'm like, you know, maybe like.
I mean,
we're
down. I can already say it right now.
Ryan did a crazy job. I mean, he really did. That was really cool. Because you know, like you hear fest, and half the time this is like, all right,
it's like,
so
oh no,
what do we mean by fest? Do we mean that you're doing something, or I put 13 bands on a bill and I'm calling it a festival?
Yeah.
You know, and that was. They built a stage, you know, like Greg was out there every day in the days leading up to it. Everybody was working with each other, and, you know, you pull up and there's merch tents everywhere, and the food is covered, and the venue is like, they had everybody that was working at the brewery had Titan Fest shirts and everything. It was super sick, dude. It was really, really well done. And Kevin killed sound, you know, like it was the perfect like DIY like festival. I think he said it was like 450 people.
It was like, I think it was like more like 500. He
said.
It was like 500
crazy,
people.
dude.
And
like
the year prior was 150.
Yeah, he like
so like
did it, you know,
right?
Like,
and he's gonna do it bigger this next year, and like he's already planning it. So it's like it's been super sick. Like I got off of work and like it's so sucky. I was a PM for a venue up in Sacramento, and I literally like I'm like pulling up to like where the festival is at. I get this phone call from my boss, and they're like, hey man, sorry, but like we're not gonna get out of escrow. We're actually going to like close the venue. And like I get like laid off, and I have like all the way to January booked out, and I'm like,
fuck.
Hi. I literally get laid off, and they're like, now we're gonna build the stage for Titan Fest, and I was like, it's like midnight, and I'm like, I fucking hate my life. Like, I was like, this fucking sucks. I got laid off. Yeah. I'm building a stage. I haven't gone home. I haven't seen my wife, my kid, and like I'm gonna be here dumb early tomorrow. And I'm like, and it's midnight. And I'm like, if you don't love this shit, like, fuck. Like, I'm like, this shit better pop off tomorrow. I'm gonna cry. Like, it was honestly like probably the most memorable like show that we've played.
That's
like
sick.
Outside of like the like best, like it was just so cool to get on that stage and like see so many people just being so like into the music, and like a lot of like the fans from out there were like saying like how it was like a mini Warped Tour, and I was like, sick. That's fucking the best compliment you can get for as a festival.
When was it, and where exactly was it?
It was at was it
Rancho Cordova?
Yeah, at what's the
Log
name?
Off Brewing.
Log Off Brewing. And that was in was it July?
Outdoor?
Yeah.
Yep. It was half outdoor, half indoor. They had 2 stages.
Cool.
Yeah.
Smart.
So, yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, we played with them right before Titan Fest.
Yeah.
They're cool dudes, man.
Dude.
They were rad.
Ryan's a grinding person.
So tell me this: is it true that at these metalcore shows, like there aren't a ton of kids, like moshing?
Is
it just like headbanging, or what's going on?
It can be, but like, I don't know, man. Amen is not exactly the band that like I would say like is like the head bobber ones, because like we're so aggro.
We have some like straight up like just slam.
You guys have
yeah.
Like,
you guys have some like I was listening to you guys while I was stuck in traffic yesterday, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking punch the dude in the car next to me.
Yeah. It's tight. You know, we'll get like a push pit going, but like people will be like hardcore dancing for sure.
Yeah.
I think that at like it just depends on the show. Metalcore is weird because people will do the like
That's
thing and then they'll come up to you and be like, that was so fucking sick, and I was like, you could have moved about it.
So that's what it was when we played with Titan, because like we're pretty, like, for all intents and purposes, a hardcore band.
Yeah.
And like there's just dudes like headbanging, and I'm like, I don't know if you like us or not. Like, I can't tell. And afterwards, oh, it was fucking sick.
Yeah, buy
Was
3
it?
shirts and say that it was like one of the sickest sets they've ever seen. It was like, it would have meant the world if you
Yeah,
just
it'd have been cool if you like spin kicked your friend or something like that.
Yeah.
I think we're just so used to seeing people like kick each other in the chest and like you know, body slam each other, and like, i.e. hardcore, you know. So
well, that's the cool thing about this band. Like I was saying earlier, like my other band is a hardcore band, and so like it was sick to kind of come into what I was anticipating was like a metalcore, you know, band, because my audition song was this upcoming song that we have that's going to be coming out, and it's like, it's just metalcore. Like it's a very straightforward metalcore song. And so I was like, okay, you know, I personally had just been missing playing it because I don't get to do like the crazy foot patterns and stuff in my hardcore band, because it's just caveman riffs, you know, and like that's super fun. But then the more I listened, it was like, oh, we've got songs that have fat 2-steps in them, or like, you know, like we've got this beat down section or whatever. So it's actually been really cool to see how the crowds react to that, because I think there's enough of that like hardcore element in our music that people will just like throw down. It's really cool. Dude, we haven't had to deal with a lot of the. I hate this, dude. I hate it so much. Just the crossed arms and like maybe a head bob, and you're like.
We have this song Victims that literally like
that one.
Victims. I don't know how, but like we didn't intend it to be the song that it is, but it's like definitely the song that like we play it and like people are like, we're gonna drop a body right here, and like we got in the habit of telling people like, yo, when you hear this riff, like say this, and like we got kind of the crowd engagement, and then like throughout this entire tour it's been like the thing, but then like as soon as that breakdown hits, it's like I watch people just like, I literally make the joke, I'm like hey, like just throw down, do whatever you do, nod your head, and I'm like, but like kill your fucking friends, like I don't care. I'm like I don't fucking care what you do, but murder everyone in here. And like everyone's like, what? And I'm like, yeah,
you'll know.
I'm like, you'll see.
Yeah.
And like, it's so fun because we played with the Skylight Drive when Jordan Blake was still alive, and we were direct support for them, and we played Victims, and some dude was in the pit and his foot like hit somebody's leg or something. I don't know what happened, but all I seen was him getting carried out and his foot the opposite direction. I was like, ow! And then like I'm on stage and I'm like, dog, what? And I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, this is happening in our second tour. Some dude like was like, yeah, man, I'm pretty sure my knee's messed up, and his knee's like fucking the size of a grapefruit. I'm like, bro. And I'm like, okay, this is just like notoriously a thing for us. Like we're watching people just lay each other out. I'm like,
it's like,
we can't get rid of the hardcore element of our metalcore band. Like
For anyone, just to notice, if you're going to a Moment's Notice show, leg violence. Is prominent.
power leg violence.
Power leg violence.
Should make a shirt that says that.
Do squats.
Like a quad.
A foot just kicking through a wall.
Or just a fucked up foot.
Yeah, but it's like hanging to the side.
Yeah, it's like, dude. Like, hey, dude, I think your foot's broken. Nah, dude, it's good.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's just hardcore.
It's what happens. It's what happens.
Dude, like every time we've played at the Haven or like, you know, whatever, somebody always ends up bloody out front. Like even in our last show, like it was during Murder Death Kill, and I was standing outside, and I go to walk in, and this dude just comes fucking like walking out, and his whole shit is just fucking covered in blood. He just dumps out like this giant
For
puddle of
Murder
blood.
Death Kill?
Weird, right?
Weird. It's like it's in the
So
name.
peaceful sounding.
Yeah.
Dude,
Just fucking beat down legends, you know what I mean?
I don't do well with blood, and so we did a run, and it was I like talking about this because it's like it reminds me like, oh, this really happened. It was the Acacia strain. It was I Declare War.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Fit for an Autopsy.
Jesus.
Cruel Hand, and then No Bragging Rights.
What the fuck?
And so we did this run, and like going to the bathroom afterward, like towards the end of the show, is just
Shit
like
everywhere.
blood
Oh,
everywhere,
yeah.
dude. I'm just like,
Dude, the imposter syndrome must have been real on that.
Yeah, that's a
You're like, what
hell
the
of a
fuck
tour.
am I doing here?
Yeah, and that was the tour that like we were like getting ready to go on stage, and then I don't know if you guys know the Bruce from 100 Demons.
I've heard the
Bruce
name.
LePage. He came over. He's like, I heard you guys do a Living on a Prayer cover. We're like, I mean, yeah, we used to do it and stuff. He's like, you guys are gonna play it tonight, so we're like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like,
Everyone go to the van. We're rehearsing this right now.
yeah, and then like some of the dudes from like Fit for Not was like, yeah, we heard you do Living on a Prayer, so you guys are definitely gonna play that tonight. So we're like, all right, cool. And so we're like, I guess we're playing Living on a Prayer tonight, guys. And we played it, and it went off. Like all the bands were there, like digging it and stuff. But yeah, that entire tour was just like imposter syndrome. Just like,
How long were you guys out on that?
I think that was the East Coast run. So
Okay.
like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
That's fucking crazy.
That's still sick though. Like,
Was that before being in studio with Putney or after? Was he even playing on that tour?
No.
You guys record Will?
Mhm.
No way. That's
Yeah,
sick.
Concrete Fire.
That guy's
That's
that
like
guy's legendary.
that was like going to school. Like
Yeah, for real.
I learned a lot on that.
That's how Nick Miller is for us. Like we'll be like I'll go in and think like my vocals are tight, and he's like, shit. Like do it again, and I'm like, dude, like this new record that we're writing, like Nick like literally was like, sick. I know like they're doing a bunch of weird little intricate things, and it's like really like it felt like not normal to do it on time, and I did it on the downbeat. And Nick was like, yeah, you just fucked yourself. You're going to have to do that every time now. Yeah. And I was like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, for like every song now. He's like, it's just going to sound weird if you just go on time for the next song. And so for like 2 days, I'm in this vocal studio and he's like, again. Yeah, that was typed like again. And I'm like, motherfucker, dude. God damn it, Nick. And I'm like, I wanted to kill him. And then he's like, good job. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, God. And he does it with Thomas too. He'll be like, that riff's tight, but like, have you ever thought about like doing this? I'm like, dude, like we're literally like, I tell people, I'm like, Nick Miller's like one of the goated like producers that nobody knows about yet.
That's sick.
His mixes too, like at the end of all of that, like in terms of like the creative process, like I'm stoked to continue working with him more, because I basically got in right as this next EP was kind of getting finalized. Like I went in and I changed some drum parts for how I play them live, but for the most part it was written. But like then he started sending us the masters, and I was like, holy shit.
That's
like,
the 2022 EP.
No, we have a new one coming out.
Yeah, we've got, what is it? It's five songs on the first one.
Yeah, so, and then we're getting ready to write the second half.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do two EPs and then put it on one vinyl. Yeah. And then then we are doing a collab for like the next EP after that. So we're like,
who did you guys like more late, like the latest singles?
All Nick.
That was all
like
Nick.
we've actually exclusively worked with Nick since the beginning. So like, yeah, that's just like a whole story within itself. Like us starting the band and everything. Like, I don't know. Like it was yeah.
Let's do that. Let's start. Yeah. I don't think we actually.
Yeah, no, dude. It's kind of crazy. Like I don't know. Are you familiar with Jared, the original vocalist of Suffocate?
Of Suffocate?
Yeah. So
wait, Jared,
the original vocal. Yeah, he was before Ricky.
Okay, no, I know.
Yeah. He's the one that did Oakland.
Okay.
So like the Oakland EP came out, and Jared and I were really good friends, and then I did a Lorna Shore cover of like when that To the Hellfire thing came out, and I was like, I'm just gonna do it because I fucking used to be a deathcore guy, so I'm like, I could totally do this. Like I was doing this back in like 06, 07.
That's what people understand. Like when I got that sent, I'm like, okay, yeah, I mean that's
cool.
People been doing this,
yeah.
But, I mean, no shade
at all.
People acting like he's the first person to like ever make weird noises on a mic.
But he's the prettiest one.
Yeah, true. Let's be real here. Yeah.
But shout out my Puerto Rican brother. Yeah. But he did it justice, and I was like, yo, this is tight. But like it was so much hype about it. I was like, sure, why not? And I did it, and I forgot that Jared was still following me on Instagram, and he's like, the fuck is this? And I was like, oh. And he's like, dude, you should start a band again. I was like, I don't have any band members. I've been out of the scene for like 12 years at the time. I was like, it was like 12, almost going on 13 years. Like, dude, I haven't done this. I went to the army. I went and like lived my life. I was like, I got a wife. I got a kid now. I'm like, bro, like I'm not doing this all over again. Like, I'm like pretty good. Like I have a career now. And he was like, no, you should go do it. And I was like, I don't know where to record, dude. Like, where am I going to record? And he's like, you should hit up Nick Miller. And I was like, I don't think I've even seen Nick since I was like 18. And I was like, I went to high school with Corey. So like, I'm like, I haven't seen any of these guys forever. And then he was like, you should go. And I was like, I'm not going to hit him up, dude. That's just like random. And then all of a sudden I get this message and it's like, I look at my phone and Instagram, it's like, boop, Nick Miller sends you a message. And I'm like, I know what this is. And then he's like, so when you come into the studio, and I was like, I think it was like in like September of like 2022-ish. And he was like, you should come in. He's like, he's like, toss me like a couple ideas of like, stylistic wise, and we'll come up with something. I was like, okay, cool. And like, didn't really have anything to play on. And I was just spitballing lyrics. I was like, what do I want to write about? And I was like, dude, I think I'm gonna write about my divorce. Like, and I'm like, just like something like super heartfelt and like just really just dive into that. And Nick was like, all right, tight. And we just started riffing some stuff out. And he like wrote the whole song, him and I, in like 8 hours. And then we were like, cool. And then he sent me the master and I was like, this is tight. And it's like very kind of like counterparts kind of style. And I thought that like that's the direction I was wanting to go. And then like we did our second single and Nick and I wrote that too. And I was like, I don't know. Like I was like, but they were both getting received really well. And I was like, this is tight. Like I was like, dude, I broke 1,000 streams on my first song and 3 on the next. I was like, there's something here maybe. And then like guys started kind of cycling in, like people start following and like we're like, hey dude, you need a guitarist. And I was like, yo dude, tight. Like, and we found our original guitarist and like we all went to the studio and we wrote Offerings. And that's when I was like, I think this is something. I was like, I don't know. Like it was like, I don't know. It just kind of hit different. And I was like, I think I want to write in there like, this is our offering. And I said that, and I was like, this is gonna be that moment. Like, this is what I'm offering you. If you want it, you can have it. And it got like wildly received. It hit like 15K, and I was like, whoa! I was like, what the fuck? We haven't even been in a band like 6 months. Like, this is crazy. And Nick was like, I guess you're a band now. And I was like, this was a solo project with Nick Miller and I. Like, this is crazy. And like, now I'm in a band, and like, we were getting hit up for shows, and I'm like, bro, we don't even have 5 songs. Like, we were getting hit up for, like, 6 months straight of, like, play a show. Yeah, and we were, like, I was like, guys, like, we gotta write. Like, people are begging for us to play shows. And I was like, this is crazy. And then we play our first show, sold out. And I was like, what? I was like, that never happens on your first show. Like, oh, first show, cool, man. Like, oh, we're gonna play, like, a couple people come. Like, no, it was sold out. And I was like, that was crazy. But, like, shout out to Skylight Drive and, like, specifically Jordan and, like, Nick and all of them, like, because they played Swanfest that year, a week before we played our first show, and it was sold out. And I was like fucking bugging. I was like, I'm nervous. Like, there's going to be 350 people in that venue, and I have not screamed in years in front of people. And I was so nervous. And Jordan Blake hits me up 24 hours before Swanfest and is like, yo, dude, you're going to do a Reason with us. And I was like, no, I'm not. And he's like, yeah, you are. And then I get a text from Nick, yeah, you're doing it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Fuck. All right. And so, like, I get on stage, and, like, I remember just looking out and I see a sea of people and I was like, huh? like buckle over because I'm like, this is crazy. I can't see the end of it. Compose myself, do the thing, get off stage, and like, I was like, dude, this is nuts. Like, I just did that with like one of the biggest like pioneer bands from like post-hardcore. Like, them and Alsaybar were like 2 of the biggest post-hardcore bands that just kind of just like did their thing and like they pioneered that genre. And so I was like, this is nuts. And then like Jordan gets off the stage and he's like, you did it. I'm like, yeah, I did. And I'm like, I was so nervous. And he's like, well, you just did it in front of 5,000. You can't be afraid of 350. And I was like, you son of a bitch. You did that on purpose. He's like,
it's like, but that was your song, not mine.
I was like, whatever, man. And then like, we played this show and the dude's like, he's like, well, now you know what you're chasing after. And now I'm like, dude, you're a dick. Like, literally, like, now I'm like, all I want is 5. Like, I'm like, I want 5,000 people in front of me to do it. Like, my redemption to, like, do it with my band now. I'm like, you bastard. I'm like, RIP, one of the most goated human beings ever for, like, just putting me in the most uncomfortable situation humanly possible in order for me to be the most comfortable. Yeah. Like, that dude literally, bless his heart. Like, he did that purposely. And, like, I'll never, like, nobody's ever done like something like that, but I can't thank him enough for that. And like, it sucks when he passed away. I literally like cried for like days because he believed in us, and like that meant the world to me. Yeah. And it was like, and being produced with Nick, it was like that meant more than anything because it's like Nick believes in us so much, and like all the ASD boys believe in us. They put us on shows that they play because they love us, not because of any other reason. Like, they just want to see us succeed. And I'm like, it's like the imposter syndrome. Like, how did we get here? Like we're playing direct support for you. We're playing all these shows.
And they know a ton of bands.
A ton of bands.
Yeah.
And like they just love us genuinely. And I'm like, that's incredible. Like I'm like, we've made an impression with these guys. Like how did we get here? And it's just so crazy. Like I love them all like so much. I can't thank like a Skylight Drive enough. The real Skylight Drive, by the way.
That's right.
I'm gonna throw that knife out there.
And what like that first taste of like being back on stage doing vocals, performing live again, was that like I'm back? Fuck yeah.
Nah, I was gonna pants my shit, dude, the whole time. Bro, I got on that stage and was like, oh. Oh damn. I was like, all right, I got this. And I got off the stage and I was like, sick.
He was pale.
I was
Really?
pale.
I watched him the whole time. It was a warm day, and he was pale. He was sweating. I was like, oh.
Dude,
I love that.
I was so nervous, like, and like I just did the thing, and I like it was crazy because Swanfest is actually like our other guitarist that used to be in the band, Ben. He was actually there, and he saw me, but we didn't know each other. So like he was like, "Dude, that guy fucking crushed it." And I was like, "Bro, I crushed it. I was nervous as fuck. Like, oh, bro, I almost died."
Are you sure?
I'm like, "Are you sure? I saw the video. It wasn't that great."
You're like, what happened?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm pretty sure. I kind of did. Like, low key, like, I got on stage, my knees went like, and I was like, oh, I'm going down. And like, I composed myself, and I was like, all right, tight, let's do this. And I was like, oh, god damn, dude. Like, it's wild to look at 5,000 people.
It's a lot.
Like, I can't.
Because you really can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't.
You only basically.
You just see like a sea, and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot. I'm like seeing you guys at Soma, and like I was like in the back because I was like, there's no way in fuck I'm getting all the way up there, and I just literally saw like you guys get on stage, and I was like, there's Mike. He looks like this big, but I can see him. I'm like, that's tight, and I was like, what the fuck is that like?
Dude, I was so happy for that Soma show when they were like, yeah, Ghost Inside and Drain are gonna set up merch outside, but you guys are gonna have to be inside the venue. I was like, I'm fine with that. Put me in the back so I can watch this whole show. The fuck?
Bro, like literally you had the most goated spot.
It was the best spot. It was the best
You had
spot.
a chair.
Dude, I had everything. Chair,
I remember
lights.
like walking over to you and you're like right behind the sound booth, and I was just like, nice. I was like, this is a perfect setup. I'm
Just like
because that never
see the whole
happens with
show?
merch.
Yeah.
You never get lucky like that.
Especially at Soma, it's always usually everyone's out
like
in the-
outside. Yeah.
so.
Dude, and I was like, I had already committed to doing merch for you guys, but I was like, fuck, I'm gonna miss this whole show. Damn it. And they put us inside. I was like, all right.
Yeah, I mean that's like the oh dude. I mean like if I feel that because I literally was in Sacramento, saw the flyer go out, and I was like, I'm fucking going to this. I literally like Titan Ryan, Ryan from Titan. I literally was like I was like, dude, I got 2 tickets. I don't have anybody. I was like, yo, and then he's like, what's up? I'm like, you're going, and he's like, I'm doing what? And I was like, come here.
Was he with you when I sold you the shorts?
Yeah.
I did not put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah. Ryan's my best friend, so like literally like him and I bounce things off of each other, and I was like, yo, dude, like I just got off like dude, I literally had just gotten over RSV when I like was there.
Fuck.
Like I literally my son gave me RSV, and I was like I'm gonna miss this show. I'm gonna fucking kill myself. Like I was like so like I was like I still had like the throat problems from it, but like I was like done with it, and I was like, I feel like shit. And I'm like, but I'm fucking here, and I'm like, this is so tight. And like, and I remember I was like, the Ghost Inside was about to get on stage, and I literally looked at him and was like, I'm gonna go to the car. I don't feel good. I've just seen the Ghost Inside like 3 times this year. I was like, if you come inside, I was like, if you come back out to the car before the Ghost Inside gets on, I'm beating your ass. And I was like, you've never fucking seen them. Do not do this. And I was like, you need to see them. And he's like, I do love their music. I was like, stay inside the venue. And I'm like, I could barely talk, and I'm like, cough drops like in my mouth. Like I'm like, dude, I'm just like my throat was like just dead. And he like came back inside, and he's like, that was fucking tight. And I was like, bro, they're fucking sick live. And he's like,
Dude, the Ghost Inside, I mean, I always say one of my favorite bands ever, but
Yeah.
also like this show probably, I thought about it, this show probably wouldn't happen if it wasn't for their reunion show.
dude, I'm
Because-
so bummed I missed that.
Dude, Mike and I, like, I mean, we were friends, but we hadn't hung out regularly like that in a while. And when this show was announced, Creative Void's old guitar player, also no bragging rights, old guitar player, Chris, had tickets and was like, I can't go to this. Do you want these? And I was like, yeah, I'll take them. And then he texted me like maybe an hour later. He's like, hey, Perez is going to take one of the tickets too. And I was like, cool. I texted him, I was like, you want to just ride together and we'll just roll? And he was like, yeah. So I had this $500 Kia at the time because I had sold all my shit to buy a house, right? So I had this like piece of shit Kia and I was like, I'll drive. And he's like, okay. They looked like a death trap, but it was great. We made it there perfectly. And then that literally was like the starting point of us hanging out again more regularly. And then this show. We fell back in love. It was crazy.
Dude.
And just in time for the pandemic to hit.
Yeah.
And then for us to hang out even more because nobody else wanted to hang out.
Yep.
Dude, honestly, like that time period was such a wild time for everybody. Like,
Dude.
like it's like, you know, Ghost Inside is one of my favorite bands too, dude. Like, and in 2016, like obviously, you know, that year was a shit year for a lot of people. TGI to be specific. And like
MBR to be specific too.
MBR too.
We flipped beginning.
Yeah,
of
that
the
was
year.
yeah, you guys did, and then that was my last year in the Army. I jumped out of an airplane and my chute landed like weird. I like landed in a pothole. My legs like went like off like this, and I landed in a pothole, tore my knee and like my spine. Totally was in a wheelchair, and I was like, dude, I'm never walking again. Like, that's it. Like, I was in a wheelchair for like 6 months.
Dude, now is the time for the power leg violence shirt.
Power
and it'll
leg
be
violence.
your
Yeah.
leg.
Yeah.
Your
My
leg all
leg.
fucked up on the shirt.
Yeah. Definitely we're making this shirt. Like, this
Just
is
a leg and a
happening.
parachute,
Yeah.
dude. Just
Get the show. It'll be a show and AMN like collab shirt.
We're definitely doing the collab shirt.
Power leg violence.
Power leg violence. The walking blind podcast.
That's so great, bro.
we'll do a limited run of those like leg lamps. And then it'll be a parachute as the fucking lampshade. The leg will be just fucking
The foot, instead of being normal, it's like completely turned around.
This lamp is shorter than the other one because the foot is off to the side.
So ridiculous.
$1 million idea is being made right now. Like, just insane. Boys, we're all gonna get rich.
Yeah.
He's over there copywriting it.
Copyright power leg violence.
PTO.
Yeah, people are paying like $600-$700 for a Ninja Turtles leg lamp right now, so you know.
Oh yeah, power violence lamp is
Power
coming.
leg violence lamp is.
Yeah, we're making this a thing. This has to happen now. But it was so crazy that I got injured the way I did, and I was like, dude, I'm like not walking again. And then Jonathan Vigil posts a fucking story of him trying to walk again, and I was like,
I have no excuse.
and then literally I'm like just like trying to do physical therapy, and I'm like just like doing it, and then like I have headphones in, and then what fucking song comes on? Mercy. And I was like, and I heard life's swinging hard, but I'm swinging harder, and I was like, I'm getting out of this fucking wheelchair, dude. I can't do this. And I was like, and like
sick.
TGI was like, all right. Like I was watching their recovery while I was going through my recovery, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking do this. Like,
So the TGI tattoo on your knee, is that the same knee that got fucked up?
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
dude.
and my mantra when I go to the gym now, instead of like life swinging hard, but I'm swinging harder, is life swings hard, but I'm swinging harder. And like I keep telling myself that all the time. I'm like, dude, when it fucking hurts, I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep doing this. Like when I get on stage, like yesterday, my knee was throbbing and it was in the worst pain ever. I was like, dude, I can barely walk. Like this is sucky. Like, and I'm like, I tore 3 major ligaments in my knee. Like it's fucked forever. But like every day, I'm like, nah. I know why I'm doing this. I know why I'm gonna do this. And like, it's like. I DM'd him once about Magic the Gathering, and then he hit me back, and I was like, I was like, oh my god, he talked to me, and I was just like, because it's like, dude,
huge nerd.
like huge nerd, but also like at the same time, like he doesn't. A lot of people got impacted by them, and like when I saw Aftermath, I fucking ugly cried.
Yeah,
like that music video literally like hit me, and I was like, just like losing it, because I was like, I knew what that was like. Like, and I was like, I could have been in that wheelchair for the rest of my life and like not had the willpower to get up, but like I did, and like it was insane. Like I never would have got married. Like I would again. Like I met my wife like years later and like did so many great things after that, and you know then making music with these guys, and it's like none of that would have been possible without the Ghost Inside. I'm like they're a huge influence in our music too. Like I very much look at them as like the way that I'm like. I always want to keep pushing for something. Like when it gets shitty, like I'm like, nah, TGI did that shit too. And like knowing you now, it's like I'm like, dude, NBR did it too. I'm like all the homies that have had the worst times, I'm friends with you guys now, and it's so genuine to like have these connections that I'm like, I look at you guys as like ways to kind of like just keep pushing, because I'm like, they've done it. Like, what is my excuse? And that makes me love it that much more.
Dude, and so you fucking recovered from leg injury, spine injury, started walking again. Your boy over here, I want to kind of talk about this too. Like, how has the tour routing been when you have to, and I know you're not on camera right now, but like, we got a little mic right here if you want to throw in. But like, so how has this tour been with having to also do like regular dialysis visits and things like that?
It's honestly, it's been very hard. Like, this is what, third tour?
Yeah, third tour.
With AMN, and from the start, AMN is I've been on dialysis since before our first show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I haven't known AMN without
dialysis. It. Yeah.
And it's been hard. It's just routing, getting everything situated, relying on the medical team to place me in the right spot,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's been times where I think the last tour I had to skip out on dialysis because they scheduled me wrong and I felt like crap.
Yeah.
But I mean, just fought through it.
Yeah.
Just because, like Greg said, I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Dude, and then, so are you doing these visits like before shows, or is it like an off days, or so you're doing dialysis and then fucking hitting the stage?
Bro, literally the guitarist of Resider, like when he was saying goodbye to him, he was like, "You're the hardest motherfucking person I've ever met in my life."
Straight up.
He's like, "Nobody's harder than you." He's like, "Nobody." I'm like, "Bro, this dude is keeping up with us, and he's at 50%." And I'm like, when this dude gets a new kidney, we're all fucking screwed. He's gonna do a backflip with he's gonna be like what's his name from Fit for a King, with his bass just freaking whipping it. I'm like, that's gonna be this fool, but he's gonna be doing backflips and like a spin at the same time.
So much faith in strap locks.
Yeah, I'm like, bro.
I used to do guitar flips on stage.
Yeah,
I'm a guitarist, and back then I used to do guitar spins and stuff. But I mean, I have a catheter on my chest right now. I can't do that.
Yeah.
So I throw the bass around in any possible way I can, but do the hardcore style.
Yeah.
I would love to do flips again.
And you're are you on the list for a kidney, or do you have?
I have a live donor. I just got approved about a week ago.
Dude,
fuck. So we're like 4 weeks out right now.
Yeah.
So you guys were on tour when you got the?
Yeah, he got the news a couple days ago.
Dude.
I got the phone call. I was asleep because I was in pain, and I woke up to a voicemail from UCSF San Francisco, and they're like, "You're good."
I'd fucking cry.
Yeah, no, he did. He did, but then we told Resider, because we were touring with them, and they all were celebrating too.
Dude,
they were all like, "Fuck yeah!" And everyone was super juiced, and
the bassist started crying.
Yeah,
dude, I want to cry right now, and we just met, dude. That's fucking
yeah. It's probably the hardest thing in the world. This dude doesn't know quit. And I'm like, whenever I'm in pain, I'm like, this is not what am I complaining about? This fool literally is dying, and he is still getting up there with a good attitude every fucking show.
Yeah.
After dialysis, dead. He'll play the show, and then he's in the van. Just 13 hours later, wakes up, and he's like, I'm like, you good? And he's like, I'm alright. I'm like, are you good? And he's like, yeah, I'm good. Good. I'm like, fuck, dude. I'm like, that's crazy. And when he got the news, we were all just like, yo, it's finally happening.
Fuck.
He's never played a show with us without being on dialysis.
He's just gonna come back and shit on all of you guys.
Dude, we're literally fucked. We are so
Keep
fucked.
up, boys.
So initially, I was on a 10-year wait for a transplant.
Yeah.
And a good friend of mine came forward, and she was like, "I'm giving you my kidney." She went through the process, testing. She got approved.
Yeah, dude.
Dang.
Fucking
and it's from someone you know too.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, dude.
That's amazing.
I used to practice with my old band in her garage. So
yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Over the years, just kept in contact with her and her husband.
Yeah.
Really good people.
If that's not showing you what the community can do, like this scene, people don't realize when you do music, it's not just about the music, dude. There's something so ineffable when you talk about it with people. They're like, why do you do it, man? You're broke, you're struggling, you're tired, and you're like, I can't explain it unless you do it.
Yeah.
When you do your first tour, you get done, and then you're like, oh, I get it.
And you develop relationships that are something that you probably wouldn't have anywhere else.
No, not at all.
There are people that I've met through music that I'm closer to than like my actual family.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and the community of it, like I can't, like our band was able to tour a lot, and the only reason we were able to do it for as long as we did is because we had like a strong community. Like when I say that, like excluding like Warped Tour stuff, but just regular club tours, like I would say MBR maybe had like 6 hotels, like.
And they were all on your last tour, right?
Hold on. Excluding since we came back. I'm talking about the first for those 8 years of touring. But I mean, we stayed at people's homes. People opened their home to us, you know.
Yeah.
And that like saves money, safety, right? A lot of times they fed us, dude. We got fed by so many people.
Oh yeah.
Us. You know, so many people let us shower. So many people came through, and like for a band our size, we had no business being on the road that long. No business being on the road that long, but we got taken care of. There's always enough just to get us either the next show or the next tour, and it was a community of people that were doing this. It wasn't just one person. It was like a ton of people that were able to keep us out.
That's definitely how like we feel right now too. Like there's like so many people that are just like inviting, and like our friend, my friend over in Boise, like literally like just like brought us into his house, like gave us all tattoos, like because he's a tattoo artist. Like he
spent 10 hours giving free tattoos.
Yeah.
He tattooed 5 people for free. It's crazy.
And he still tattooed me.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
New beginning.
I was about to say, like, that looks fresh.
Yeah. Like he literally tattooed us, and then like we go back to his house. He's like, "Yeah, you can shower at my place." And then he's like, "You guys want pizza?" And like he orders pizza and like the whole night. And then he's like, "Hey, like, love you guys. Take care." Yeah. And I was just like, "What just happened? Did we just do that like all day? Like that was a thing? Like and it was our day off." And I was just like, we literally spent all day getting tattoos and like hanging out with a homie who like is a fan of our music and just like wanted to help out. Yeah. And I'm like, we have so many times where we're like, dude, what the fuck did we do to deserve this? And then people like just are like, we resonate with your music. Like we want, like there's something about you guys that like gives us power, like gives us that feeling. And I'm like that's just tight, because like I speak a lot about like, you know, never giving up, never like letting people tell you when to do something. Like wrote a song about Timekeeper telling people like don't let people tell you when to like stop. Yeah. Like time doesn't matter. Like you could be old and gray and still be doing music, like, and love it all day, every day. No. Dude, Mike's not old.
At heart. Visually.
Visually.
Dude. It's funny. I'll see
Mike is beautiful, damn it. Leave this man
It's
alone.
funny because I'm the biggest like proponent of his gray hair. I'm like, don't fucking color your hair. Leave it as is. And then I shit on him. But then I'll tell him to still keep it.
It looks good.
Yeah, I like
it's distinguished.
It's like looking at like
yes,
the, you know, our earlier tour, and it's like, dude, I had dark hair. My hair is so dark.
I mean, I look at earlier tours.
At least you have your hair, dog.
I'm thin. Yeah, I was thin back then. True. You know.
I think the, you know, like on that note of not ever being like too old to do something or whatever, like that was something that I was struggling with a couple of years ago, even though I'm nowhere near being considered old. I think I'm still a kid mentally, but
how old are you?
I'm 27.
Dude, you're a fucking baby.
But well, here's the thing: is it was really interesting because exiting high school, like I've played the drums since I was 10, right? But I wasn't in a band for the first 7 years that I played. I was just ripping in the garage because it's just something I like to do. And I had friends that were in bands, and like I always thought that shit was really cool. But I like specifically have this memory of being in like 8th or 9th grade, right? Which I think is ridiculous that like counselors will come to kids and be like, you have to decide what you want right now. You know, like I had friends that didn't know that they liked guys at that age. You know what I mean? Like, you have so much to figure out when you're
friends
fucking
at 40
12,
that still don't know if they like guys or not.
But like, you know what I mean? Like, there's so much. It's such a ridiculous amount of pressure to put on kids. Like you come through and you're 13, 14 years old, and people are like, you have to know what college are you going to, what are you going to be, right? And I bought into that super fucking hard because I I think I was good enough at school to land in high placement classes. I'd always get like C's, but like, you know, I was, it worked enough for me to like get into the AP stuff and honor stuff, right? So they start funneling you to go to college, like right away, go. Mm-hmm. And I had like family friends that were, you know, dude's like done the same job for 35 years and has this big ass house. And, you know, I remember having this conversation with one of them and he was like, what are you thinking you want to do? And I was like, oh, maybe I'll do this or do that. Maybe I'll play the drums. And he says, oh, well, you know what you got to get used to saying if you do that. I was like, what? And he's like, do you want fries with that? And like, bro, that shit stuck. Yeah. Like that is like, a one-off comment that somebody made that I was like 13. And I just was like, oh, okay, yeah. So music, no fucking way. So I went to a trade school right out of high school. I started working in I'm an airplane mechanic. That's my like career. Sick. But I was gonna be an astronaut. Like that was the thing that in my head I spent 7 years going after. Yeah. And I wanted to kill myself. Like straight up. Like I got to a point, you guys were talking about COVID and like how hard that was. I was living in the East Bay. I had moved out on my own for the first time. And like I was living my life trying to impress other people or do what the other people in my life told me to do, right? I was like, oh, I had my first apartment. I bought this fucking brand new car. Stupid decision. Yeah. But like, I was like, oh, I got the apartment. I got a new car. I got this big boy job, right? And like, it was just slow decline.
So fucking empty.
Dude, I got to the point where it was like, I have to change something or I'm not going to be here, you know? Yeah. And I was so deep on it that I didn't even know what the other thing was going to be. I was just like, something has to change. I have no idea where to start. So I moved back home and I started going heavy therapy. And my therapist, the number one thing that he told me was just like float. Your problem is that you've had a plan that you feel like if you deviate from, you're going to be a failure. Right. And so like for the first 2 years that I was back at home, I didn't do shit. I just went to work and I came home. I went and I played disc golf with my friends. Like that was it. That's like all I did for 2 years. And the reason I brought this up is this is super trippy. So this festival that he went on stage with Jordan Blake, that day had a very weird universal connection for this band. I was also at that festival that day. That was my first metal fest ever that I went to. Yeah. Thomas was there.
The photographer that we used to have for touring was there. Yeah. And he's the one that saw me and ended up touring with us. And when our original guitarist left, he gave us Thomas.
Yeah, he plugged Thomas.
And then Thomas was like, it was like 5 degrees of separation thing. Like he was like literally the guy. It was like everybody had to be there or somebody had to be there adjacent for it to happen.
So that festival happened. That was like the thing I had been waiting for, right? Because what I was learning in therapy in terms of being kind to myself was just like, fucking relax. Like everything's going to be fine. You don't need to know the answers, right? So I show up to that fest and I'm watching, I think it was during Volume's set, but it was sick. It was a sick lineup, right? It was like Skylight Drive, Volumes played, Movements played, Knocked Loose, Veil Maya, like really good spread. It was super sick. But there was this moment where I was watching the whole crowd just like bounce during Volume's set. And I was like, that's it. That's the thing. Like, I want to do that so bad. Like all of the sudden I just wanted to, it was like every bit of passion for music came to, no, seriously. I ran into Josh Miller from Darko and Chelsea Grin, shout out him. He's been super sick to kind of be on the periphery of, because like, you know, I don't want to like punish the guy or anything like that, but like I saw him at the festival. I walked up. I was like, hey, man, you know, I just figured I'd get a picture. But, like, he gave me, like, half an hour of his time, talked to me. And, like, dude, so what's super sick about that is we just played. When I joined this band, my first show with them was a sold-out 350-person headliner. And like that was the biggest show that I had ever played by far. But then
Totally
like,
normal, by the way.
yeah.
Happens
To everybody.
every band.
Yeah.
But dude, well, it gets crazier because like 2 months later we played Roosevelt Goldfield and we did like 500 people at that venue, and and Josh was there, and Greg ran and got him for me. And
I grew up with him.
Yeah.
Like, he was like high school friends. Like we all hung out together.
So he like brings him over and he's like, dude, look at you go. And I was like, shut the fuck up. Like, don't fucking say that. You know, like, don't say that.
Tears splat in my face.
Yeah.
No, seriously, he was like, don't stop. Like, you're doing it. And I was like, that's fucking crazy. Like, somebody that has been in it, been doing it. I had one conversation with him in 2022, and that was a huge part of why I ended up going after it again. And now we're here. Now I'm in fucking LA. You know, like, it's crazy. It's super sick. But I think, like, music... I think that's what people find in music. That's like the source, that energy, whatever you want to call it. That's really what drives that community, that sense of like just people sharing, I think, art that resonates very deeply with each other, and that driving those connections. Cause like it literally, I know everybody fucking says this, but like music literally saved my life. Like I was all in on this like super corporate, like, just gonna grind my soul into dust kind of situation. I had no idea what I wanted to do, and just simplifying it back into being like doing something that you enjoy and that you can find community with other people in, like that's all the difference, you know.
And some people, the corporate grind is what they want, and they work
and
for
that's fine. That's totally fine.
Dude, everyone's so different. Like the world, like I said, it's like the world that our parents were living in is so different. Like the American dream is like not a real thing, like for us anymore.
Yeah,
like,
it's wild.
No.
Like there's a lot of stuff you have to go through to like get to that point where it's like, oh, one income can pay for a family and a home and all this stuff. Yeah. That's not the world we live in.
No.
And also everyone's just so different, dude. Like for me, I always felt stupid in school because I'm like, I don't read fast, so like I don't give a shit about this stuff. All I want to do is music. And then when I stopped doing music, I went back to school and I learned how to study that worked for me, which is audio. Like my grades completely changed.
Game changer.
And I was just like, oh, it's not that I couldn't do this stuff. It just wasn't being taught the cookie cutter way like everyone else.
All they care about is test scores, dude. It's crazy. I mean,
they want good worker bees.
Well, it's also because the schools get money, the better.
Yeah,
kids
the
do.
more and that was the thing about like the CSU system. Like I was in AP classes. Like the school that I went to got more money depending on how many kids that were in those advanced placement classes ended up going specifically to CSUs. Like not even to college.
Right.
But like we'd have people come in and they're like, "Oh, you could go to, Santa Cruz or LA or whatever," but it was always California.
It was always Cal State.
And I thought it was so weird, dude, cuz like I wanted to
It's not genuine.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, like my job is born out of a childhood passion. Like I love airplanes, like I always have, right? But like no one ever said a thing about trade schools. And I have friends that are just finishing. They have been in college this entire time, which blows my mind, right? Like
And they're not going to get a job in their field.
and they're about to, and like I went to a trade school for 20 months. Tuition was $36K for the whole program. Yeah. And it got me into a job that like started at a salary position,
Right.
And it was just like boom, and I was like, no one said a word. Like there's so many kids that aren't good at typical school, and you're not talking to those kids about their other options like trades and stuff like that. Like I have a friend that works he's an electrician in San Francisco. He makes like $400,000 a year, dude.
Do you
He's
work,
my age.
Do you work private planes or do you work
I do a
airline?
little bit of everything.
Okay.
It's a weird. So I work at a regional airport. So there's a lot of like weird overlap between like I work on everything from like a 2-seater little Cessna to like a 737.
Okay.
Like most of my work is in the private sector, which I'm starting to kind of like deviate from a little bit just for reasons, you know, and just kind of like the more that I kind of develop a worldview. But it's a rewarding job, right? Because you work on something and then it flies away, and you're like, okay, I did that, you know.
Yeah.
But
And if it
also,
doesn't fly away, you're like, I didn't do that.
straight to jail, prison forever. No,
It's a risk.
but
Something is wrong.
But you know, it I think that like it was kind of a case of turning something that could have been a hobby into my job when it shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how I feel about it, because the industry is not, it doesn't stop, right? Like airlines, 24/7, 365, like doesn't matter. I've worked on call, I've worked scheduled, you know, like it. There's so much that's up in the air, and honestly, like, but huge shout out to my employers because they're so sick. I work for a very small, like, mom and pop run company, and like I told them that we were working on getting signed and doing this tour, and they were like, "Holy shit!" Like that's so sick. And I was like, "So am I still gonna have a job if I leave for like a month and a half in the future?" And they're like, "100%." I was like,
Dude,
That's
the best.
"Cool."
Dude,
Like,
yeah.
I have
you
that
know,
shit in my car.
Like,
yeah,
like to like piggyback on that, because like honestly, like dude, like I was a big like sports guy growing up. I played lacrosse, and like that there's no pro sport for that. And I was doing really good in school, and I was doing a lot of things, but I was also doing music, and like I had fallen in love with like, you know, deathcore so early, but I was like, I didn't know where I was going. And like I had like played the Battle of the Bands stage on Warped Tour, and like I got off that stage, and like I just like I got caught up in the sauce. Like I just like lived that life, and I was like, I don't like the way I'm living. There's no career for me like after this. Like I'm gonna graduate, and there's gonna be nothing. Like I don't like lacrosse isn't gonna get me anywhere. And I was gonna go to college, and I was like super excited about it, and I was just like, but like I'm gonna play college lacrosse, and there's nothing that's gonna happen.
Lacrosse is terrifying, man.
It's fucking so much fun.
A little ball.
Dude, it's a solid rubber ball, and it flies really fucking fast.
It's
And let me
really-
tell you,
yeah.
it's really violent. And
Yeah.
you know, I was just a fast runner, and like, and I was like, man, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. And somebody's like, dude, you should join the army. And I was like, fuck it. And I just didn't know what the fuck to do. And I remember I joined the army, and like it was such a weird moment, like just getting there, because I was pissed. Like I was like, everything that I wanted to do was like taken away. Like I was like music, yeah, there's thousands of bands. I'm fucking nobody. Like that's never gonna happen. And I was partying and having too much fun. I was like, well, fuck that one up. And then I was like, lacrosse is not gonna happen. And then like, you know, I was so good at being a soldier. And then all of a sudden 2016 happened, and it was just like fucking gone. And then like I lost my grandmother, and then I like was homeless, and then I fucking moved back to Cali, and I I moved back to my mom's, and I went through therapy, and I was pretty close. I was pretty fucking close to ending it all. I was like, dude, I don't fucking care anymore. Like I didn't have college, I didn't do music, I didn't do anything. Like I was like 25, and I was like, I'm a quarter of my life, like if I live to 100, and I literally don't have shit anymore. Like I don't have the career that I was 7 years deep into anymore. Like I had nothing, so I didn't know what to do. And then I had an engineering degree for automotive engineering, and I was working a really like shit job. And I was like, dude, I'm fucking stressed. Like I just fucking hate my life. And my friend was like, you should go be a barber. And I was like, what point of this gives you I'm like, do you think I really want to fucking talk to people all day, like, and like deal with their bullshit? Like, no, that doesn't. And he's like, I know you're kind of an asshole right now. And he's like, but I remember you as I remember you as a kid, and you were so kind and so like inviting, and you brought people in, and you always wanted to make people feel loved. And he's like, go be a barber. And I was like, no. And he's like, you should go be a barber. And I was like, whatever, dude. And he's like, come to my shop. And this motherfucker gives me paperwork, and he's like, here, sign this. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And he's like, you're a barber now. I was like, what the fuck? And he's like, I'm going to apprentice you. And he's like, and then like 6 months in, he's like, yeah, you learned everything I could teach you, man. And he's like, now you're going to go to school and use your GI Bill. And I was like, no, I'm not. And he's like, yes, you are. And he's like, stop arguing. And I was living with him, and he's like, cool. And then the pandemic happened. I got my license, didn't have a job, and I was like, well, fuck me. Yeah. Like, tight. Like, I was like, got a career? No, don't have a fucking job. And then all of a sudden, I know he's like, wait. He's like, nobody can find a barber right now. And all of a sudden, the word got out. And they were like, you can cut hair? And I was cutting hair in a sunroom. And he was just like, it just kind of happened, and then like I landed into it, and then I did that Lauren Shore cover, and like it was just like, I kept going to therapy, I kept talking about shit, and I was just like, yo, I found like really dark times. So like my wife, like I found her, and like things kind of started changing, and then like this band, like we talk about like mental health and like, you know, just really like living kind of like the motto of like what this podcast means, and like Jesse and I were like, dude, I told him, I was like, you want to do a mental health podcast? And he was like,
yeah, this is super sick. It was so
he
so
like
dope to hear
instantly
about it.
said it.
Yeah,
like, he was like, yeah, fuck yeah.
And what you just said about like your friend talking about you as a kid, like that's a huge tool. Like I think a lot of people, there's like that weird, you know, like there's so many like songs, for example, about like missing your youth and all of that, right? Bro, that kid is still with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was the biggest thing for me, because I was caught up in that too, you know, about the same age. Like my first plan for my life didn't work out and I was drowning, and right, like your brain starts to like be like, you remember when it was simpler, and like you remember, like that was my inner dialogue. And like I think reframing to like who you were as a kid, that person is still with you, dude.
Yeah.
Like every day you can show up for that kid whenever. You can do it right now, you know. And like that's,
I think like that's
so
why
powerful.
this band means so much to all of us, is because like we're feeding our inner child. Like I remember going to my very first show, which was Lionheart, Bone of Osiris, Walls of Jericho, The Warriors, and fucking As Blood Runs Black
That's
on Allegiance.
hell of a first show.
That was my first show.
My friend,
I was listening.
I got knocked the fuck out.
I remember I was like 13, 14 years old, and my friend was like, we were listening like As I Lay Dying and stuff, and I was skating. I was like, okay, whatever. Like I was a little skater kid, and then all of a sudden his cousin was like, hey, you should go to my birthday party. And I was like, okay, cool. And like they were like, we're gonna go to a show at the boardwalk. And I was like, I don't fucking know anything about shows. Like, cool. And then that's what I get into. And then all of a sudden Brace Legs goes into Bow Down, and I just hear fucking bow down. And I was like, that's fucking tight. I want to do that. I was like, I want to do that. And I was like, mom, can I do that? Can I do that? Can I do that? And I was like, this was so fucking cool. I was like, this is the coolest thing in the world. And then like, you know, going now and doing that, I'm like, yo, I'm that guy.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, holy fuck, this is a full circle moment. And I'm like, no, 15-year-old me, like, I owe myself this shit. Yeah. Like, because I gave up on it. Like, at that point, I think, like, mentally, I just tapped. I was like, I got a couple years, and then I'm going to have to, like, be an adult. And I'm like, now I'm, like, 33, going on 34. I'm like, nope, I'm still gonna do it. Yeah. Like, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? And I'm like, my wife's like, you know, like maybe like, you know, like we gotta make some more money, like make some choices. And I'm like, yeah, we're gonna figure that out. And I was like, we're gonna do it. And I was like, but like I can't give this up. Yeah. Like I owe younger version of myself so much, and I like, this shit keeps me up at night, and it's fucked up.
Dude, shout out to your wife for being cool.
Yo, she's
supportive of it.
She runs our whole social media. Yeah. Like, so we're on tour, and like Kitty's just like, here. And she's like making the posts and everything. She like runs all of our social media for us. And I was just like, yo, you're the GOAT. Like literally, like we got into town and I was like, yo, drop me off at my place. And I fucking like went inside, like showered, went and laid in bed, and I was like, kissed her on the head, and I was like, and then she's like, hey, and I'm like, I'm like, I was like, oh, this Sleep Number bed that I bought is so fucking worth it.
Anyway, it's time to go to LA tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm like, $4,000 for this bed, and I'm about to lay in a fucking $20 fucking memory foam. Fuck me. Like,
you know what's crazy though is those full circle moments like continue to happen too. I think as soon as you like, another thing, like once you've worked on like bringing that like I deserve this kind of thing, or like maybe you can't say that about yourself, but the kid deserves that, right? Like your inner child deserves this. That kind of shit just continues to happen. I wanted to show you something cool. This was this year at the Acacia Strain at the Goldfield. That's me and Vince. So
fucking rad.
That's like super sick photo that somebody that they posted that. So I climbed the pole at the Goldfield,
fucking
right?
dope.
But check this out.
This is the cool part.
This is the crazy
cool
part. This is us at the same venue 2 months later.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Look who's on the pole.
Yeah.
No fucking way.
Yeah, bro.
Two of his friends climbed both of the poles to do it.
That's
to like
so
a full
sick.
circle moment for us.
Yeah, it was
so rad.
Fucking nuts. Same stage, like couple months later,
that.
you know. And
It's
so
cool
like,
ass venue.
Dude,
it's so dope.
It's so
Yeah.
dope. The
Yeah,
sound there is
Goldfield,
incredible.
Which one is it?
Roseville Goldfield. Yeah, like, yeah. Like,
But
if you guys want to come up, like, we got pool. Like,
yeah,
we can make this shit
get up
happen.
there.
Just saying.
Get
Like,
up
we can
there.
make this shit happen. Plus, I got to do cycles live.
Dude, we haven't played NorCal yet, so.
Get up there.
Dude, yes.
Well, I mean, since we've been back, we haven't played.
Bro, like, I will set this whole entire thing up. Like, yeah, bro, I will open it. I'm like, don't even put me on the show. I'll just be there. I just want to do cycles with y'all. Like, I genuinely love everything about this community. And, like, the longer I get into it and the more people I learn, like I meet and stuff, like, it's like that imposter syndrome. Like, there's no reason for me to be sitting in this room right now. Like, I felt like I didn't have a foot to be here. And I'm like, and then I hit you guys up and you're like, I'm like, what does it take to like get on? And you're like, oh dude, nothing. I'm like
free on this day.
yeah. And I was just like,
You don't need a foot. You just need one fucked up leg.
yeah.
What's your leg history?
What's your leg history like? Fucked. But like, I don't know, man. Like, it's just so amazing to be in like the room with so many like amazing artists that like all have similar stories. Like, we all have similar things, like, and there's certain parallels there that like you're like, oh, yeah, dude, I've had that tour where like you just like, I ate like shit that entire tour and I feel like garbage and I didn't sleep for shit, and then all of a sudden I got sleep and then I didn't get sleep again, and like, and we're like, oh yeah, sounds like almost every tour.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, people are like, well, why do you do it?
That's
you're
my
like,
favorite.
you're like, I don't know what to say.
I feel this is I'm gonna just tap into a small part of conspiracy. I promise I'm not gonna stay there.
I was gonna ask him to explain space to you, but you know.
But I would love to know why we went in the '60s and never went back. No,
Aliens.
but Mike, you fucking threw me off. What do I say now?
You're welcome. While you think about that, my favorite thing is like when you're talking to, we always joke like civilians, right?
Yeah.
And you explain like, yeah, we fucking slept in sleeping bags on the floor of a van, and like, you know, like we couldn't shower for 3 days. You wear the same stage clothes, and they're like, why do you do that? And they're like, that sounds miserable. Like, no, it was actually like the best fucking time I've ever had.
Yeah,
like,
for real.
You know,
That's what I was getting at. Is that when you do this and you do it to the point where you're traveling, because not throwing anything on a band that hasn't traveled yet, because I know there's a lot of local bands that they just don't have the opportunity yet for whatever financial,
or they can't because of their jobs and stuff. Like,
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it happens.
And so for me, like when I meet people and like I talk to them and get that response like, wow, I can never do that. For me, I almost feel like a sadness of like what in your life would you be willing to like literally sleep on a floor, eat shit for months or years?
Yeah.
And like when people don't have that or understand that, like I almost feel bad, because it's like this is literally so. And the thing about it is like we're nobody's making us do this.
No.
Like
Hey, just do it.
Live this
Yeah.
lifestyle, you know. But it's like you can't. I feel bad when someone doesn't understand what it's like to take the stage or take the floor wherever you're at, floor show.
Yeah.
And like the feeling of like, you know, we've played the crazy shows where it's like, you know, 15 kids, and it's like, and then you walk away from that conversation that you've had, maybe eating, you know, before or after the show with friends, and then you get to the opportunities where you get to play in front of a packed place, and you're like still that same band, you're still the same people, and you have this crazy experience. And it's like I feel for like people who don't have that. And it's like, you know, what I guess where I was going to touch the conspiracy part of it is like when you hear about crazy things that happen like Hollywood or wherever it's at,
Right.
it's like it's unfathomable to think to normal people, because they've never wanted something so bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It like keeps you up at night. Like, it's like a little fucked up. Like, you'll be sitting there and like you'll track something, and then like literally middle of the night you're like, I fucking hate that riff. I gotta change that. I need to change that shit. Like, you're like actually I really hate that riff. Like, or like we went on our new single. We were like, that's coming out. Nick made me like retrack it, like, and I think I retracked it like 6 times, and I literally come in the next time and I'm like, we're going back to the original. I fucking hate all the other ones. Like, we're gonna do it this way. And he's like, damn, you were thinking about that. And I was like, I'm like, that shit kept me awake. And I'm like, and it's like, that kept you awake? That song? And I'm like, it just didn't feel right. And like, you just don't, nobody can explain that to you. And like, you just sit there and you're like, I don't know why I do what I do. Like, I'm like, my shit hurts all the time. Like, I'm in crippling debt. Like, I'm like, why did you spend $1,600 on a pedal? Oh, because like, it sounds good. And then it's just wild. Like, we just do this shit and we do it so willingly, and it's because we just love it that much.
Dude, the way that you felt about like having to go back and re-record stuff, that's how I felt about the Torch Culture EP, the first one. Vocally, I'm like, I love the record, I love the songs on it, but vocally, I'm like, it doesn't sound like me. No. And Martin, it's your fault. Because when Martin was in the band for a while, we were recording, and he was like, "Is there any way that you could like not sound like you?" And I was like, "We could try something different, switch it up."
And I think the silver lining to take from this, I'm not defending you, Martin. I think it was cool to like push you and stretch you into something different, vocally, especially coming back into it. Because then now
there's elements of that in the new shit,
and I think for you to be like, I'm gonna do now what just feels better and what I do well, and like it comes through the new stuff.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot to say about that, because like when we started AMN, like I didn't know vocally what I was gonna do, and Nick kind of like pressed me in like certain ways to like make me like feel like I was like, okay, maybe this and that. And the first two songs, like the first one, love it. Second one, fucking hate it. Like, I've wanted to take it off of like Spotify every day of the week. I'm like, I think about it, I'm like, I could just delete this, it would be okay. But I'm like, no, I kind of want people to like look back and be like, what the fuck was that song? And be like, that was me. And me to be like, hey, you know Offerings? I'm like, yeah, that's when I figured it out. Yeah. Like, and I'm like, I figured out how to blend the two styles and then find my thing.
Yeah.
And like make me sound the way I sound.
And that's how we ended up with like One for All.
Yeah, and like
after Under the Sky, or what is it? What's the one I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, it was Offerings, and then we did Under the Skyline, and then everybody was like, nobody sounds like you. What the fuck? Like, what did you do? And I was like, I learned 2 different ways to do vocals, and then had to figure out how to just make it work.
Yeah.
And then I had to like be unique, because I didn't want to be like every other metalcore band. I didn't want to sound like anybody else. I was like, what does Brian from Knock Loose have? Like, everyone makes fun of him for sounding like Mickey Mouse metalcore. Like, I'm like, whatever, dude. Like, but he's iconic for that.
It's SpongeBob. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, they all sound different.
Yeah. Warriors.
Yeah. You know, The Devil Wears Prada. Yeah. You know, like, all these guys have such unique voices, and I was like, how do I chase that? How do I find that in such a saturated genre? Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm going to add some deathcore, I'm going to add some hardcore, I'm going to put a little bit of metalcore in there. And then I found this style, and everyone's like, nobody does it like that. And all of a sudden, we get this crowd engagement. We had 2 people who listened to us yesterday. Every single person outside of that venue, we were like 30 away from like hitting 2K. This morning we woke up and we're like 2 away now. And like that whole venue just followed us. They were like, that was fucking tight. Your vocals are crazy. We've never heard anybody like that. This is sick. And I'm like, the uniqueness of me trying to just like basically eating shit, trying to figure out how to do it and like hating every take and then figuring it out, and people be like, I fuck with it. And I'm like, cool. Yeah. Like tight. Like I didn't think anybody was going to, but like it's working. It's doing the thing.
There's some really cool conversations that have happened. Like we haven't even really had a chance to like write yet with this lineup. Mm-hmm. And next month, where everybody's coming over to my place for a weekend, we're gonna basically write the next EP, and I'm super excited for that because like just in the little moments that we've had, you know, when we talk about what we want to bring to the next like writing sessions, I think that it's a lot different than conversations I've had in bands in the past, where it's like somebody's basically like, I want to write an incendiary song, you know, or like, you know, just some shit like that. But the conversation is always different. It's always like, well, how could we make a moment's notice song with this influence. It's never like I want to write, you know, like a cookie cutter song, because I think that metalcore specifically has a huge problem with that right now. Like it's so hard.
There's just a lack of identity
It's
there.
so hard to tell, especially, and I think a lot of it has to do with the mixes. Like modern metalcore mixes just make everything sound like that, and so when you're, but the problem is it sounds good. It's the winning formula for that genre. It's the reason it's so like. I think what's cool is I'm starting to hear some bands start to like go back to the early 2000s metalcore sound, like New Dying Wish.
And Boundaries.
Yeah,
Boundaries figured out how to do the old shit, but like
new album is super sick. Like I think they have the best in term. This is of course my own opinion, but like when their new album dropped, Death Is a Little More, I was like, holy shit! Like this is what everybody's doing now with all of my favorite like melodic runs and shit like that you would have heard on, you know, And All That Remains album or something, you know, like it's super sick. And so I think that what's starting to that kind of stuff is starting to happen in this band on its own. Like just Thomas and I are working on a song right now for the next EP, and we were writing it on the first day of the tour, and I just got so excited. I was like, holy shit, dude, because it helps so much when chemistry as an artist doesn't have to even really be talked about, you know. It's a lot of like finishing each other's sentences musically, which is really cool. I was like, oh well, what if we did this? And then I was like, oh, I was thinking that. Or what's even better is when somebody goes, oh, what if we did this? And I was like, I would never have thought of that, you know what I mean? Like, but that's fucking crazy.
Like him and Thomas, like I joke about it. I'm like, they literally share one brain cell. Like it's like that one
in all things, not just music.
Like that, it's one brain cell.
Mom said it's my turn. Give it back.
We're driving down here, and like I just like wake up the next morning, and like these fools are like, yeah, man, like. All of a sudden, Thomas and him, they're just like making weird sounds, like in the van together, just bullshit. And all of a sudden,
we should have had his ass in here so we could do the laugh, bro.
Dude.
We started doing this like Fat Albert laugh on. We've been like, hey, yeah. It got to the point where we were in Portland going grocery shopping, and dude, he didn't even tell me he was gonna do this. We go up to the register, and this lady's like, hey, and from behind me, Thomas is just like, hey!
These dudes are driving up the Grapevine, and apparently Thomas is like, he's like baiting, like he's like, I'm not gonna make it.
We were on like hour 9 of the drive, and he was starting to die.
He just all of a sudden just goes, Peter. And we're like, is he good? And like, nah, he's not. Like, I think he's done. Like tapped out.
It's not crazy if it works.
Yeah. No, seriously. I mean, that's. I think what it comes down to is it's just like, I think that especially once this next EP is done too, that'll really lay the foundations for how music is going to be written in this band, and I'm really excited for that because we have some stuff planned. Like, we're planning a collaborative EP sometime like late next year.
Late next year, yeah.
Can you say with who?
I wish I could. We'll definitely say that off camera, but
so
like
bad.
It's
I always try.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's put it this way: like our emblem is a lotus, but it's not fully opened yet. The light is barely touching it, so it's making it look white.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
We've got, I think, just in terms of the kind of the support through those connections that we've already made, you know, like through Nick and you know, like other people that have been in the corner. I think that we've gotten in touch with some people who are
they're so bought into us. It's wild.
It's like not only supportive, but it's like proactive support, you know, which is something completely different. Like I've always been, I'm used to passive support, you know, like, oh, sick set, you know, like that kind of shit, right? But like people that'll be like, hey, no, I remembered the last conversation we had. Are you guys interested in this? You know, like that kind of shit is happening. And it's like, oh, you know, like, oh, so you remembered.
We played Titan Fest, and literally the two biggest deathcore regional bands, like for like in our in our friend group or on this side of the coast, literally were like, you guys fuck, we're taking you on tour. Yeah. And we were like, what?
Dude,
like, and we're a metalcore band. They're like, we don't even know if you guys are technically metalcore because you guys are just so fucking heavy.
we got enough of the slam shit to go on
and like
tour for sure.
Shout out Reminiscence and fucking Decatur because they literally were like, yo, you guys are insane. Yeah. We love you. We want to tour. And we're like, we're cool enough for that? Like, holy shit. Like, they're stupid heavy. And they love us. And we're just like, dude, we're cool enough to sit at this table? This is wild. Like, it's just so heartwarming to be, like, given so much opportunity. And, like, our manager literally was like, yo, you guys want to play this show? And we're like, what show? And then he, like, told us what the show was. And we're like, oh, yeah. Like, yeah, totally. And, like, we haven't even announced it yet. And we're, like, over there just like, oh, god damn it, it's happening. Like, there's more good things happening. And then they're like, hey, by the way, like, we got you guys with the distro. And we're like, wait, what? And, like, all these things are, like, kind of starting to formulate. And we're like, is this it? Is this the thing? Is, like, this is when we're going to start doing the thing? And everyone's like, yeah, I guess. And then we're like, they're like, you guys are going to write 3 EPs in 1 year? I'm like, I guess. But, like, we hear stuff like that from, like, big bands that do it. But, like, I guess when you hear it in the early stages, you're like, how the fuck is that possible?
Yeah.
And then you're like, and then you're in it, and you're like, oh shit, it's possible. It's just crazy. Like, most people don't believe it.
We're planned out for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
We have a 2-year plan to, like, blow the fuck up.
We have a whole, like, I guess, like, management schedule that was set up for us. And I've never seen that kind of, like, it's insane. Again, just being that proactive and that, you know, like, organized and planned. Like, it's just like, okay, cool. We hit this month. This is the things that are happening this month. Here's all the expenses that we're projecting for it. Like, it's really turned into, you know, music has to be a business at a certain point. Yeah. But that's what people miss. Yeah. But, like, the team that is being put together for this band right now, like, this time next year is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
There's a couple of, like, insane opportunities that are coming up, and it's basically all that we have to do at this point is just do the work.
Yeah.
And that's a new feeling, you know, like, that's a really cool spot to be in where it's like, well, I've never doubted my ability to work hard. So if that's all I have to do.
Yeah.
Like, I got to next year, you know,
I got to put my everything into this thing that I fucking love.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, oh, God,
I gave my everything to something I fucking hated for 6 years. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's, yeah, we can do that 100%.
I mean, it's not space, though. You know?
It shouldn't be. I don't want none of that.
What people don't realize, too, is, like, and what I love is, like, it has to come down to the band. It has to come down to you guys to be willing to put in that work.
Right.
Because there's a lot of dope ass bands. You know, I'm sure you've met them on tour. Like, we'll see a band. We're like, how the fuck are these guys not, like? Why are we playing? Why is this band open?
Yeah, why are they direct support to us?
You know, and it's just it's like a bummer, but it's one of those things where it's like it's really rad when, like, a group of guys is like, we're gonna work. We've been working, and now we have a team that's gonna help us, like, move forward. You know, I think that was big for us. You know, like, we did a lot of stuff on our own. You know, but also we had a lot of really cool help that came around later.
Yep.
Yeah. And it just made it easier for us to do what we wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And then it's rad that you guys have, like, someone that actually has, like, vision for you guys moving forward. And then, like you said,
I think it helps to have somebody who helps organize vision, because I think that it's easy to have vision. Like, it's easy. It's pretty fucking easy for me to be like, yeah, I want to be on tour with you know, Boundaries or Currents or whatever. Like, I can say that and be like, well, but how do we get there? You know what I mean?
I'm not the, like, saying, for me, if all these decisions were left to me, I mean, we would have never left Riverside.
Yeah.
You know, and so for me, I'm like, I'll show up. I love that. I'll put in the work.
Point me in a direction. Yeah.
Tell us where to go, and we'll go. Like, we'll.
It was like when Jesse first joined the band. Like, he was like, I was trying to talk to him about, like, things that I was planning and stuff like that, and then he was just like, "What the fuck, dude?" And I was like, "Dude, I have, like, 4 books sitting on my, like, computer. I'm, like, getting home and I'm networking. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm talking to certain people," and he's just like, who are you, dog? Like, how tapped in are you? And I'm like, no, like, I'm in the shit. Like, I'm like, Matrix plugged in. Yeah, like, I'm in that shit. Like, and he's just
music
like,
Matrix,
dude. And it's like, I'm like talking to certain people, and he's like, you just like, and Thomas is so good at just talking to fans. I'm good at the business aspect where I'm like, hey man, what did you do here? What did you do here? Hey man, I really like how you did that. How did you do that? And I'm like, bugging people, and they're just like, no, ask away. And like, they're like, people don't usually ask these kind of questions. Like, this is crazy. Like, do it. And I'm like, I constantly am asking, because I'm like, you know, like, shout out Jeff Ming, Left to Suffer's manager, because I literally was talking to him, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna ask a bunch of stupid questions. He's like, literally ask away, bro. Yeah. Like, we're just here to talk. And I asked him, and he's like, that's a really good question. He's like, most people don't ask these kind of questions. And I'm like, dude, I don't know this shit. Yeah. You know this. I need to learn how to do this. What did you do? Because clearly Left to Suffer is very popular right now. Mm-hmm. What did you do to get them there?
Dude, being humble and asking for help, that's like, because everyone thinks that they know.
No, right? You don't know anything at all. Like the day you die, like, is the day you stop learning. Like, you need to constantly be learning. Like, there's things that, like, I tell people all the time. Like, I'm like, yo, like, if you start your band as an LLC, I was like, by the way, like, you rent out your studio spot, that's a write-off, this and this. And I'm starting naming all this stuff off. And, like, one of the guys that owns a guitar company up in NorCal, he's like, when the fuck did you get so goddamn smart? And I'm like, bro, I didn't. I asked a shit ton of questions. I read a lot of books. I'm like, you gave me some of the books. And he's like, but you read them. And I'm like, yeah.
Like, I didn't even know you knew how to read. And I just gave them to you.
What? And I'm like, all right, cool.
You're holding the book upside down.
Yeah. I think too, like, there's a huge difference between asking for help versus like asking for a handout. You know, I honestly think that some people are afraid to ask for help because they're afraid of it being interpreted as asking for a handout. But like, I think what's happening here is the questions that are being asked are, how do I do something? And then you go and you do it. And then you circle back to that person that you were afraid to ask, and you're able to tell them, hey, I did that and it worked. Look, you gain respect with that person at that point, because they're like, oh shit, like you asked for pointers or you asked for advice, you used the advice, you didn't come back and ask like, hey, can I jump on this tour with you guys? It's just like, how do I get to the level of touring with a band like yours, right? Like, how do I, because I got really good at that just in terms of talking to my favorite musicians, because like, that's another reason metal's so sick, is it's just like the gray area between pros and amateurs. It's just, everybody knows everybody, and like at this point so many people are connected over social media that like you can talk to damn near anybody, you know. But like, you just have a plan of like what you want to take away from a conversation if you're going to interact with somebody, and be open to the answer that you get, you know. Like, I think that one of the weird things about you know how like you can reach out to your favorite artist for lessons now, right? Like that's very new, right? So one of the things that like bugs me about that is that people will do that they will like pay to just hang out with them over a Zoom call, or like they'll pay for a lesson and think that they're gonna get what's the one trick to playing 250 BPM, you know, kicks. That's not how it fucking works, dude. You know, like, you have to.
The trick is playing.
You get the pointers. You get right, like Jared Klein from Rivers of Nil, sick dude. I took a couple lessons with him because I wanted to learn double strokes. Right. That one was a gear issue, because that depends on how you set your pedals up. Like, if your pedals are not set right, you can't do that technique. Right. So that was one exception in my brain. Right, where I'm like, let me talk to somebody that knows how to get my bass line down, so that I'm not trying to practice in an unfavorable situation, right? But then we have that first lesson. I tweak some settings on my pedals, and we're like, okay, well, I'll see you in 2 weeks. And I practiced for 2 hours a day, every single day, up until the next lesson, and I jumped like 40 BPM by the time I got back. And he was like, holy shit. I was like, yeah. But he was like, that was one of the things he said. He's like, honestly, like, kind of didn't expect to hear from you again, because a lot of people just do this one-off shit where they think that they're going to get the answer to everything. And it's like, bro, it is the work. You can ask the right question and not do the work, and then be like, well, it didn't fucking work. And it's like, no, you didn't. You didn't apply it. Like, those things take time. And that could be a technique that you're using on your instrument, all the way up to, you know, what Greg's been doing, where he's asking management questions, booking questions, like those kinds of things. because now we've got a manager. You know, like, but not only do we have a manager, we have somebody who like actually knows what a manager does and can continue
ask the right questions.
Right, exactly. You can continue to ask the right questions to get the most out of having a manager. You know, it's not just like, I feel like I know a couple of friends in a band that got on with a pretty high profile booking company and it didn't work for them. And they're the only ones that have anything negative to say about this company. And I'm like, guys.
Yeah. It's a perspective.
Like,
yeah.
I hate to say it, but it's like you kind of stick out at that point as being like, well, hold on. Like, you got with them, but something didn't work out there. Like, what weren't you doing?
Right.
You know? Like, if it works
and I think it's
for
just
all
you just
these other
don't
bands.
ask the questions.
Yeah, don't ask the questions, or you don't stay hungry. Like, I feel like some people might plateau when they hit a certain point. We got this, and then they chill out. And it's like, no, dude, like, I don't ever want to chill out.
I think like my favorite thing that I ever heard from an artist was my one of my boys. He was like, look, dude, he's like, yeah, cool, I can get big. And he's like, that's tight. And he's like, I could probably be as big as the Devil Wears Prada, and that's still cool. And he's like, but until I can sell out Wembley in 10 minutes like Sleep Token, I ain't shit. And I went, you have 1 million streams on Spotify on most of your songs. And he was like, I'm still not shit. He's like, I can't sell Wembley out in 10 minutes. And I went, fuck.
Not a lot of people can.
Yeah. And he goes, I'm not shit until I can do that. And he's like, so I'm going to stay humble. And I was like, wow, yeah, like
mental health note.
Like, I was,
you can be humble and kind to yourself.
Yeah,
though. Yeah, that's tough to say, bro. Like, but he, like, to say you're not shit is.
But like, he's like a very like cynical person. Yeah. Like, and like, I love him to death, but he is very much like that. And I'm not gonna name drop because like I feel like, you know, but like he was.
You can name drop it. We'll take the credit.
Yeah. He's just a real person. He's like, dude, like he comes from hardcore, so he's like, dude, like I just know, like, I haven't done it yet. Yeah. Like, and he's like, and until I've done it, I'm not there yet. And he's like, I just like being uncomfortable. And I'm like,
but that's how some people thrive.
Damn, that's crazy. Like, and I'm like, and like, there's so many perspective switches that like people gave me that I just didn't realize that I needed. Like, you know, I recorded vocals once without Nick, and I literally had him mad at me. I've never seen this man mad, but like, if you ever see Nick Miller mad, the man is a big human being, and he just like, and I'm like, sorry, Dad. I'm really sorry. Like, I'm like, holy crap. Like, I'm like, dude, he was like, I've been helping you out. I'm like, bro, my bad, dude. Oh my God. And like, he said it in a loving manner, but I felt like I let down my dad. Like, and I was like, fuck, dude, like, I really fucked up. And I was like, and it was just because I was like, we had management that was like pointing me in a direction that like, but I didn't know. I didn't ask all those questions. And now that I know all those questions, I'm like, I know where I'm gonna stand with this. I'm like, no, dude. Like, I'm like, you don't get to tell me who I record with. Yeah. I'm like, this has worked for me. Unless it's in a contract that I have to do this, I'm not doing it. And like, you don't have that power. If you don't want to work with me, then by all means, don't work with me. But I'm gonna continue to do what got you interested here. Yeah. And like, it's working with people like him that like have gotten me where I am. Like, I probably wouldn't be as far as I am without Nick critiquing every single thing I did, every step that I made, you know, asking him for guidance because he's done it. Yeah. And I'm like, he's done it on the hugest level. I'm like, why would I not ask this man questions? Yeah. Like, he's so good at what he does that he became a producer, and now he's ushering in the new generation of artists, and he's not even getting these big bands, and he should, because he's that good.
Yeah, well, that's coming for sure.
Oh, 100%.
It has to, because
he's gonna be up there with like
Sam Pura and like Will. Like, I'm like, that dude literally he has this program where he'll listen to like Spirit Box's mix, and then he listens to our mix, and he'll bounce it, and he'll see like where does it sit on frequencies. And he's like, and I'm like, it looks like Matrix code at this point. I'm like, what are you doing? And I'm like, and he's like, are you like bouncing between Spirit Box's like mix and ours? And he's like, yeah, and Bad Omens and stuff. And I'm like,
honestly though, I think
the reference
that's huge.
Wild.
And I think Nick would probably agree with me on this. I think it's like ginger stuff that he sees what other people not.
That man is the scariest ginger I've ever seen in my life.
I'll never
Shout out,
forget
Nick.
when he got mad at Greg. I was like,
dude, Okay, most people say that gingers don't have souls. No, Nick just steals them from people. That's how he's that big.
Yeah.
Nick was like, "Sup, little man," womp, and he's like, "No, I'm bigger." Yeah. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Is that what happened to you?
Pretty much, dude. All my height like went to Nick. Shout out Ben from Hoods.
Hey, he hasn't gotten me yet.
Shout out to Ben from Hoods because he was like, "Yo, Nick's like straight up the vanilla gorilla," and I was like, "Bro, what?" Like he said that, and I was like, "Yo, but he is hella big though."
He's big.
Like I'm like, but he's like the sweetest human being in the world, like vanilla. Like I'm like, you're the sweetest human being, and I was like, "Is that why?" And he's like, "Yeah, it wasn't because of the skin color, dude. You're racist." And I was like, I didn't, bro. I'm just. Whatever, man.
That is news to me right now,
dude. Literally, no. He's the sweetest man in the world, but he looks like he looks like a silverback, bro. Like if you ever see him stand, like sit in the seat, his literal lats and like his whole torso, it's like behind. And I'm looking at him like sitting in the chair. I'm like, this dude is fucking massive. Like, and he's like, yeah, I just like, hit like 4 something or 5 something. I'm like.
Him and his love for burritos.
Oh my god, yeah, like bro, like halfway through the session, like he will eat Chipotle. Like that's his thing. Like he will eat Chipotle, or he's like eating like rice and like beans and other stuff, and he's just like grubbing, and he's like, yeah, I think you could do that better. And then I'm like, bro, this guy's like, he's.
So if you want to buy like Nick, just eat a lot of Chipotle.
Yeah, and like and lift a lot. Yeah. Like a lot. Like, he has the same back injury as me, and I'm like, how do you still do this? I'm like, it hurts so bad, dog. And he's just, like, the nicest human. He's like, you just gotta, like... I'm like, why are you so nice? He's, like, the nicest human being in the world. Pissed him off, though, and I was like, yep, I'm gonna go cry in the car now. I'm like, dude, I was very nervous, like, getting, like... When I pissed him off, I was like... It wasn't him just pissed off. I think it was just, like... He's like, damn, dude, like... I'm so invested in what you do. Like, I want to continue to do that. Yeah. And I felt so bad when I made him mad. They're like, and then like our old guitarist Ben was just like, bro, like, you made the vanilla side chocolate, bro. He's like, that shit was not everyone's cup of tea. And I was like, yeah, dog, I literally got mad. Like, I was like, why did I do that? Yeah. I was so mad at myself for it.
Learning experience.
Yeah, it was a learning experience. And like, I won't make that mistake again because like, I value Nick's opinion on so many things that like he is the reason why we got here.
Yeah, he's not just someone being like he's actually has an investment in what you do.
Producer should be another member of your band.
Yeah,
honestly,
he's an extension of us.
And you as an artist should be comfortable with that being that because it's what they're there to do. Right.
I feel like if you go in and write a song and like the producer isn't like, yeah, this part not really jazzed about this, then like he really doesn't care about your music.
Yeah.
Like if that producer, like you pay all this money to go to a producer and like the guy just is like
track you. Yeah.
And like press record and that's it and like doesn't say anything, like great time, dude, and like you go out and somebody's like, yo dog, that snare sounds like a dick hitting a toilet seat, and you're like, oh.
They hit the toilet seat? I didn't.
Sometimes. You that? You can.
What kind of hardware you guys packing?
But like,
it's usually a nice little gap in between.
I don't have that issue actually.
But like, there's so many things like that like people say like these funny jokes and like things about music, but it's like really genuinely like honest. Like you gotta where all the jokes are, there's also the business side, and there's a fine line between the artistry and the business side. And that's the balance. And if you don't know the balance of it, it is so easy to like look at it as a job or like just art and never get it past where you wanted it to. Like you're like, I want the art, but I don't want the business side. Then you're probably not going to get that far. And if you only focus on the business, but you lack on the artistry side, you lose kind of the fan base too. And I'm like, there's a balance between it. And if you go on tour and you go on tour with a band and like, yo, that band was miserable to be around. Yeah. It's very clear. And it sucks.
Yeah, like those Resider guys.
Those guys are probably bar none my favorite people in the world.
We just got off the most like fun tour like ever. We didn't get as much time as we wanted to hang out with them, but it was like every time it was just dying laughing like the whole time. They're such good guys. Their band fucking rips. So please check out Resider, everybody. they're so good.
They're basically metalcore Linkin Park.
Yeah,
they're hard.
They're just it's the kind of like music that you just want to dance to, you know, like it just their stage presence too is so good, and they're all just insanely cool guys. You know, it helps so much when you. Here's an example: when you've played a house show to 4 people midway through the tour, and you drove 5 hours to get there, and you've got another 9-hour drive to your next show. You sold no merch, no one there.
Yeah, that was sucks.
Got it's just right like. You can spiral there. Like the temptation to spiral there is right there. And I think that it's a testament not only to the people in the most notice, but Resider's camp too. Like everybody was like, hey, it's done. We're on to the next one. Keep your head up. Try to get some rest, you know, like drive safe. We'll pull up, you know, and then we pulled up in Tacoma. We had a better time.
Yep.
And that's honestly the only mentality that you can have to keep going. Like that's it.
I've been, I'll tell you guys off camera, but I've been on a really good tour, and there was like that shitty attitude shit going on.
Yeah.
And it, like,
dude, we don't have to talk about the torture culture run. I mean,
he's like, I know it's about me. God, jeez.
I know we were divas, but fuck.
But dude, I mean, like just you know, this says a lot about Resider, and also for you guys, like, you know, if it didn't go well, you really didn't have to say what you just said about them, but now you gave them some shine. You know, it's so good for them from being rad dudes, and just like, and this I'm talking from experience. If you can be like easy to work with and you're just fun to be on tour, like you're gonna get invited to things, and people are gonna go out of their way to bring you on tours you have no business being on.
Yeah.
You know, like we had, and also too, something that never, I think our band just, I mean, at some point you kind of just like, whatever, man, we're gonna be us no matter what.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times we got like announced a tour, and then somebody hit us up like, oh fuck, dude, that band is a fucking nightmare. Like they're gonna be shitty to you guys, like this and that. And then like we do the tour, and like by the end of the tour, we're like having a good time with them, and it's like, is it because like you were like not treating them like people? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like,
God, man. It just goes back to that statement. Like, it's like, dude, like, really, you gotta have a good, like, attitude going forward. Like, you're like, dude, like, everyone's gonna suck shit once on that tour at some point, like, really bad. Like, it's gonna get really hard. And it's, Jesse and I said this, like, a couple days ago, when we had our, like, first, like, really bad show, and I was like, how bad do you want it? And he's like, really fucking bad. And I was like, tight, same.
That's the question.
I was like, literally asked that question. I literally looked at him and was like, how bad you want? He's like, really bad. And I was like, yeah, same.
Like, it helps to look at it from the perspective of, like, this is going to be great when we're playing, you know,
5,000
some
caps sold out
fucking big-ass venue with our favorite bands. We'll be able to look at each other on that stage and go, hey, you remember when we played to 4 people? You know, like that's kind of where I default to, because it's like that way I'm just paying my dues. I'm just going through the motions, and like you have no control over stuff like that, especially at this level. Like you're doing your best. But for me, I'm like, I just played to 4 people. I also just played in Idaho for the first time. Yeah. I just played in a new state. I've never been there before. Same. You know, like
also those are 4 more people that'll bring their friends to the next show.
Yeah, no, 100%. Right. Like, and that was
watching.
That was the cool thing about this tour is no matter what the number of people that were there, we sold merch every show. We you could watch the numbers climb every single day. Like he was just saying, we're basically at 2K now, and we were.
I think we were at half.
We were pretty far behind that milestone when we left. We sold a shit ton of merch, you know, like we did, and that's a really cool feeling, because it's like, you know, you have people that go, he gets off the stage and goes straight to the table, and you just watch a crowd of people go right out to go to the table to start buying stuff, and that's all that matters, right at this stage, right? Like at this point, that's really all that matters. It doesn't matter how many people were there. It's, can you make an impact on the people that do show up? And we have been, and that's really fucking cool. Like, so that was helpful too, with that mentality of just being like, okay, cool. you can double down on trusting yourself and trusting your band, even though you played to nobody, because nobody bought a shirt.
Right.
You know, meaning that nobody, not nobody, but you know what I mean? Like that you're still, people are remembering you. People are feeling your music for one reason or another, you know? I mean, that night, so we had that one night in Medford, you know, we were kind of talking about where we were set up on stage, ready to play to 0 people. Booking agent comes up. He goes, hey, there's another show going on across town. I just got you guys on that bill too. Do you want to go? Tear all our shit down, get in the RV, drive across town, set up outside the venue. Didn't end up playing. Because, like, you threw twice as many bands on a bill, and it's getting to be, you know, I think at 11 p.m., there were 3 bands that were playing before us still. And we had to be in Sacramento for a dialysis appointment at 11 a.m. the next day, and we were in Medford, Oregon. And it was just like, guys, we can't fucking do this. There were 3 people that showed up just for us that still bought merch.
Yeah.
We didn't even play.
And they were like, bro, we heard you guys were coming here, and we like just want. And I was like, the big thing, like when I'm on stage is I literally tell people, I'm like, bro, like I don't give a shit if you buy merch. Like I do, but I also don't. Like I just want to meet you. I just want to make friendships with you because I don't know you. Like I don't know any of you guys, but you guys came out here for us and you like us like enough to want to like support us. You could have been outside not listening to us and like
been doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, you could have been doing anything, but you
could have been at the other show.
Yeah,
that was
you
fine,
came
you know?
here and chose this, and like, I'm like, I just want to get to know you.
Yeah.
Because like it doesn't matter about that. It matters more about like the meaningful connections, and like, there's so many people that forget about that. They like I said, like they focus on like the business or they focus on artistry, and I'm like, dog, I just want new friends. Like I just want to meet new people and be like, yo, dude, like they rip and they're actually just nice people.
One of the worst things ever is when a band focuses on the people that didn't show up to the show, and they punish basically the people that did show up about how like talking about how bad the crowd is or the show is. It's like, why are you punishing the people that showed up?
Yeah.
Right.
That's a really good point. I mean, I think that it's really easy to slip into that too. You know, you act like a fucking bummer because there's not a lot of people at your show. It's like then every single person, you are double damaging yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to have a
terrible impression.
You're going to be terrible to be around. So the only people that did show up to your shit are going to say, yeah, those guys sucked. Like, you know, like, great. Great. Make it so that the next time you go there, there's no one again.
Right.
You know?
Why would you want to go
like,
after your band like insulted you, basically?
I'm like, you're in their home. Yeah, dude.
It only works if you're like counterparts and it's part of the bit.
Yeah.
You know?
Let's get into some questions.
Yeah.
I feel like we answered a lot of these already in the episode, but
let's see. Do you want to go, Mike, or me?
You want me to read them, Mike?
Dude, I read them last.
I got you, fool. All right, our homie Manny SG. On a scale of 1 to 10, how painful are the hand tattoos?
I don't have nerve endings in my hands or certain spots in my body because of how much damage I have from the military. So 0.
Nice.
And I'm not even joking about that.
Yeah, you got a freshie.
Serge got a fresh one right there.
For mine, I'm just more focused on the kidney pain.
Yeah. Fair.
Two non-answers.
Whoa.
Sick.
Yikes.
Hell yeah. All right. Newabuse.fm. What is you guys' favorite venue to play?
Goldfield.
Goldfield, Roseville.
Roseville.
That place is so sick.
Yeah.
Sick.
Top 10 place.
Valora estas curvas. What is it about music that makes you feel passionate?
I like watching people beat the shit out of each other because they're playing drums.
Yo,
that shit's crazy.
When I say kill your friends, and they fucking do it, tight. Like, you know, like, yes.
There's always that moment where you look out, you know, like I play with my head down a lot, but I'll like pick my head up and I'll look out and just see people going nuts. I'm like, I'm doing that.
Usually during the set, if I throw out a woo, that means I'm having a fucking blast. And I'm like, y'all are amping me the fuck up right now. Like, we played in a small venue last night, and we have timekeeper, and I usually go, whoa, and like, just to get it started, but I was like, whoa, woo! And like, I was just like pumped, and I was like, this is so sick. Like, it just, I don't know, it just gets you going. Dude. It's so sick.
I love, and this, I know this sounds like it shouldn't be a thing, but it's like when bands aren't stoked on their own, like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dude, like,
people are like, you listen to your own music? I'm like, yeah.
Like, dog, I'm hella proud of that.
Yeah.
I love that.
All right, our homie Ty, Torture Culture Ty, with the heavy hitters here. Your favorite venue in Sacramento?
For sure,
Rosefield.
Yeah.
Rosefield, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So describe the Sacramento scene and how you think it differs, if any, from other scenes.
I'm gonna let Jesse do this one because he's an out of town person from there, and he's kind
of. You know, I think that it's a lot less gatekeepy than a lot. I mean, I say that coming from the, like the Bay Area hardcore scene right now is so cliquey, dude. Like it's just ridiculous. I mean, shout out actually Jose from Tsunami, because when I saw them on the Kublai Khan tour, we're in the UC Berkeley Theater, right? That's like a 1,600 person venue. It's sold out. Crowd's going fucking crazy, and he's up there and he's like, where the fuck are all you guys at all these local shows that are happening? Like, show up and support each other. And it's not that doesn't happen. It's just you have to be in with the people putting the shows on to get shows. And I don't fuck with that, you know, I like personally, because the thing is, it's such a juxtaposition between what you claim like your culture is like how, like it's DIY, right? Like DIY hardcore, right? We're doing all this shit. It's like, dude, and you gotta be with the cool kids still, you know what I mean? Like that, and that's kind of weird to me. Like that doesn't exist in the sax scene. Like I had, before I played my first show with these guys, I had people like hitting me up like, oh, you're a Moment's Notice drummer, right? And I was like, what the fuck? Like,
didn't you have somebody at a venue?
Yeah, no, I was playing a show with my other band in San Francisco, and somebody that was in line outside the venue like came up and was like, you're a new drummer from Moment's Notice, right? And I got recognized at that Tsunami show too, and it was crazy. It was like people, I think, like just more excited about the people involved in the music. You know,
there's something
you see,
there when
you
we're
see
that small and people are recognizing.
Yeah,
like, that's just wild to me. I'm like,
because then you get out to Sacramento and it's like, I think that, I don't know, part of this might be because it's also metalcore crowds, but like people fucking clap at the end of the songs, which is sick. You know, it's like, oh, it's tight. But like, I think that people genuinely want to just see bands from their scenes like do well. Right? Yeah. Like that Titan Fest thing was fucking sick. And it was technically DIY, but it was done so well, it didn't feel like it. Like, it just felt like a fest. And it was the scene that put it on, you know? And the conversations that are happening between people at that show were like, oh, you're with them? Oh, okay, cool. I'll check you out. You know what? Oh yeah, you guys sound like this. You should get in touch with this band because then you could build a bill like that, right? And it's like the antithesis of the gatekeepy shit. Because the gatekeepy shit is like, oh yeah, bro, I'll check you out. Right.
Yeah.
And then I never fucking hear from this person again, you know?
Yeah, it's funny, you limit yourself so much when it's like, when you just only fuck with who you fuck with.
Yeah. I mean, like, and it sucks too, because like a lot of the people involved in that scene are really fucking cool. Yeah. But it's just that one little like aspect of like having to gatekeep your shit that's just super weird to me. So like to see the opposite of that, you know, like to see bands talking to each other like, oh, you guys sound like this, which means you should get in touch with these guys because then you could build a sick bill and get more people that listen to that style to show up at your shows, and then they do it and the shows do well. And it's
Sacramento's really good about that. It's kind of crappy because like there's like 3 bands right now that are kind of popping off and like they're getting more into the regional side, and the vocalist of one of the bands literally told like a few of the locals, he's like, dude, you guys gotta want it because like none of you guys are trying hard enough anymore. You guys are just kind of just piggybacking on us. Like we want to see you succeed and we'll help you, but like don't look at just us. Yeah. Like don't look at us to fill a room. You need to do it too.
Yep.
And like go to the local shows, go talk to people, go and network, and like we did that.
Yeah.
You know, you see us as this big band now, but like no, like we were going to the local shows for people who had 10 people. And we were purposely going so we could talk to those 10 people and get to build a community and talk to these people, and like that's why people show out for us. But you got to do it too. Yeah. And we tell these guys all the time, and they look at us like, yeah, okay, whatever, or like they're like, yeah, I'll listen to that. And like you see so many great bills being built in Sacramento because of that. And like it's just a testament to like how Sacramento's scene is. And like I mean, we had one of the best scenes in like the industry in the early like ages, like of like when the emo phase was happening. I mean, for Christ's sake, we had a Skylit Drive.
Yeah. Well, even before that, AFI came from
AFI, yeah,
out that way.
Yeah, and DGD, like they came out there. They have a mural. Yeah, Rancid, Deftones.
Oh, yeah.
Like I mean, like you see some like incredible artists come out of that area, and it's like there's got to be something in the water, and it's not even an A market. Why is it not an A market? And you look at that and you're like,
Oh yeah, I was thinking AFI is more South Bay, but
yeah.
But I mean, it's just one of those things. You look at that and you're like,
you guys also have there's like some iconic like punk venues and shit that have been there for forever.
oh my god, Cafe
like,
Colonial.
Yeah.
Like Cafe Colonial's like popping. Like that is the DIY hardcore venue.
is Ace of Spades, is that still a thing?
Oh yeah.
Ace of Spades is the thing, but it's very much, unfortunately,
Very Live
hard to
Nation.
get into. It's Live Nation.
Yeah.
And we're almost there, but we're not there yet. And like we want to be. But like it's there in Hard Rock Cafe now that like we're that's like the big ones. But like Hard Rock is out in Wheatland near like Marysville, which is like we don't really claim it, but like they say it's Sacramento. I'm like, oh. It's like 35 minutes out that way, bro. Like it's not in Sacramento.
Hard Rock Cafe. Man.
Dude, Marysville. I feel like was Jamie's elsewhere? Are they?
Jamie's Wellsware is actually from there. Why didn't I not think about that? Yeah, Matt was actually at our Roseville show. The guitarist, yeah, crazy. I always forget they're from there, and then I know because Matt's like I'm like I've literally seen Matt so many times. I'm like this is wild, but like yeah, Jamie's is from there too, which is also crazy. Like there's just so many amazing bands that come out of there, and it's like, but you go to the scene like and like watch some of these shows, and you're like, it's a Wednesday. It is a fucking Wednesday, and this place is packed, and it's like
That's rad.
Okay. And there's like 4 shows going on, and they're all packed, which is super cool.
Dude, that's a strong scene. And really quick, something you said that I loved is, even if you're like, if you talk to a band, they're like, okay, maybe we like our bands wouldn't work, but they recommend you to someone else.
Yep.
Right.
That shit is new, dude.
Yeah.
That's like crazy.
Yeah, I was just like there's like a couple bands I think of in our time touring that they were like, in all fairness, you know, we had a ways to go until we could like play with them kind of thing, but they were like really good about being like, you need to hit up this band and this band, like you guys would be fucking sick. Yeah. And I could almost see someone, you could take it one of two ways, like take it as a slight, or like, oh well, you want to help us out, like to get you on with
you are getting helped out,
but you're getting helped out big to be like, dude, no, like this is where you guys are at.
Yeah,
you
like,
gotta put like people that are gonna sharpen each other up.
Yeah,
and like that's why like we like tell the locals that are like they want to do it but they like haven't figured it out yet. I'm like, dude, like look at what we did, and like also like play with these people, because these people are on the same kind of level as you, and now you guys can go do it, because now we're going more regional and we're not playing local anymore because we've saturated so much here. Now is your guys' opportunity to literally take what we had done and built, and now take it for yourself.
Yeah.
Go do that. And like, here's how to do it. Like, I'm not the gatekeeper of this information. I will give you how to release music. I'll tell you how to do this. I'm like, you see our numbers? You want those? Here's how we did it. And it's like, I will give you the tools. You just gotta listen. And like, a lot of them are really receptive, which awesome. I love that, because they're like, how did you do it? And how can I do it? And like, I'm like, here's how to do it. I don't know if it's right, but this is what worked for us. Yeah. And like, they're like, tight.
Yeah, and taking that and then putting their own spin on it might be like what pushes them, propels them for, you know, faster, right? Because it's like they took what you gave them and then applying to what they have already.
And you never know. Maybe they're the band that blows up before your band. Like they break a national tour right before you're like even getting there, and then they're like, hey, we still like remember what you did, so like we're gonna take you guys next. And you're like, what in the hell is going on here?
There's a couple. I went through and I looked through some of my tour passes that I had. So like, I'd moved, so I had a box and I had like and I was like kind of like thumbing through it, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like, I forgot that there's bands that we took out that are like
massive now.
Yeah, like
yeah. It's super sick.
Yeah. That's wild.
Well, speaking of massive bands, all right, last question. Dream lineup for a show. You guys are the opener. Thanks, Ty, for another heavy hitter.
Yeah. That's a good one. For sure, I would love to jump on a tour where Traders is headlining. Our good friend from the Bay actually just became their drummer.
Oh, sick.
And he came to come see us, and he was like, "You guys got to catch up so you guys can tour with us." And I was like, "So down." Like, I don't know who else would be on that lineup. Oh, maybe like Boundaries.
I would say, I think for this band, like a dream run would be probably like a Boundaries headliner with like Currents.
Yeah.
I would love to play with some deathcore bands. Like Traders is obviously sick as fuck. I don't know, they're kind of more beat down, I think. But
it's a dream,
like,
so you can put them on.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, deathcore bands I would love to go out with would be like I don't know. I think we'd do good on the Fit bill. I think Fit for an Autopsy, that would be fucking sick. Me personally, I love the Acacia Strain so much and would love to get the chance to go out with those guys one day. That'd be crazy. They do just be grabbing bands for tours though sometimes. Like I actually have I have a friend. I can't say anything about it because it's not announced yet. But I have a friend that's in a band that just got asked to go do some shit with them and
us next.
Yeah, but you know, like I've had a lot of respect for those guys, especially because they've stayed so connected with all of hardcore and deathcore adjacent scenes as they've over the years. Really, I mean, you know, like their sound has changed a lot, but they haven't. No. You know, they keep grabbing bands to go out with them. Or like they had fucking Joseph from Tsunami was on Die Slow. You know, that was crazy to me. That was like right after Tsunami had blown up, and like all of a sudden he's on an Acacia Strain track. I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's so sick. You know?
Dude, I for sure have said this, but we played, and I think it was like it might have been day 1 or day 2 of us going out with the Acacia Strain.
Yeah.
And you know, like we're playing, and like there's a couple people kind of moving, but it's not kind of almost like kind of people like being like, can we do this? Is this all right? Like,
is it okay?
Yeah. Dude, for our song Legacy, we get to the part, fucking Vincent walks out, grabs the mic and does the guest part, and like the entire set completely changed. Everybody started going off because like they saw that.
That's so
and
sick.
You didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Like, so
what did that feel like, man?
Nice little break for you.
Like, I mean, dude,
it's nuts. It's still nuts. It's still not, like we've had. It's funny, we've had like all these different little things that happen with the Acacia Strain. Vincent basically runs it, so a lot of stuff directly tied to him, like doing things that he didn't have to do, right? Like our first time ever being in the same room as him. We're playing in Boston, and we're it's like a kind of more like pop punk show and stuff, and he walks in with some of his homies, and like everything changed, mood changed, right? Because it's like Vincent. Yeah. And this was like 2009 or something.
Oh wow.
And so we're just like, oh my gosh, like fucking. And so we're playing our set, and they just walk out to the middle of the floor because no one's moshing or anything for us. Walks out to the middle of the floor, and he's just there with his buddies, and like he just kind of like nods his head, and then that was it. Like wasn't anything, nothing crazy, and we're like, he nodded his head, like we were riding high on that. Fast forward a couple years, we're in Canada, and we're doing our own small little run of our own shows, and the promoter straight up was like, dude, no one's gonna come to you guys' shows, man. The Acacia Strain and Lionheart are out here, and they're playing basically a day ahead of you guys. So, and so he's like, I would recommend hitting up the Acacia Strain, see if you could open up the show. And so we hit up Lionheart because we had known them, we'd done a run with them, and they like, as a homie favor, they like asked Vincent, hey, can NBR open up these shows? I think it was like three shows that were left, and so he was like, yeah, have them open,
so
have them
sick,
play
bro.
set. And so that's all we need, right? Just open up the show and we play, and then we find out we got paid afterwards. We're like, what the fuck, we got paid for this? And it was from the Acacia Strain. Like they gave us some of their guarantee.
What?
Yeah.
Sick.
And then
Dude.
And then again, inviting us out twice. Twice they invited us out. One for their own run, and then another one for. They were telling my dad tour. I don't think people know this, but the only reason we got on that was because of the Acacia Strain.
That's so sick.
So
That's wild. Honestly, like, there's so many moments like that we're just like it's like you said, the imposter syndrome thing never goes away.
But also being just a good person and like
Yeah.
being good people as a band. Like there's there's obviously like your interactions with somebody. That's what drives those kinds of opportunities for somebody to go, hey, yeah, no, you guys are cool. Like, come on,
Yeah, it's not a luck thing. When you work hard, like,
no, 100%.
Opportunities get created, and they come around more frequently. Like,
I think it's like you just like treat people right, and like I never asked, like, how the hell did you find us? Like, you just like liked a bunch of stuff one day, and I was like, what in the hell? Like, how did this happen?
I don't know.
I was having some mad
Did
weird.
you do a vocal cover of?
I did that after I met you.
Was it after?
I did Cycles after I met you. I don't know how this happened, but just one day I'm just at work, working at a venue, working the door, and all of a sudden it's just like, no bragging rights, like your photo. And I'm like, what is going on here? This is no bragging rights we're talking about. This is not just like.
I probably saw your profile picture. He's cute.
Yeah.
He saw the hair and he thought you were a chick at
Swipes
first.
right.
No. You know what happened is when you guys played Soma, I had no facial hair. And somebody was like, oh shit, it's Vic Fuentes. And I went, shit. And I was like, oh no, this is not happening right now. And then the guy was like, oh shit, you're not Vic Fuentes. And I was like, yeah, I know, from behind. I had a snapback, and I was like, yeah. I'm like, damn it, it was gonna happen. Like, I would be in San Diego, like the place that he is gonna, like, he's from. And I'd be like, yeah, I saw that coming. But
Dude.
Like you were saying about luck, though, like I've been a like very strong believer in the law of attraction for a long time now, but the way that I look at it is you carry yourself differently when you believe that you're supposed to be doing what you're doing. That's gonna probably bring a positive energy with you where you go in your interactions with people, and you're also going to notice opportunities that pop up that maybe you wouldn't have noticed otherwise, right? Like, this band's a really great example of that. I had my connection to this band is so random. Like, I at the start of this year was making the decision to invest in myself as a musician because, again, like, I know what I want, right? And maybe that meant that the plan was become like a hired gun drummer sort of situation like that, right? I'm doing a lot of work for a couple bands now, and but the way that this happened was my other band, shout out 4199. Love those boys. I miss them very much. I'm going right into a doubleheader this next weekend with them. So I'm really stoked about that. But we played a show with this band called Lurid from Sacramento like a year and a half ago, one time. And their guitarist reached out to me when they needed a drummer and was like, you should audition for them. And that's literally how I got it. And that's what I mean about law of attraction type stuff, right? And how you carry yourself, right? Because I only know Omari because he had a Crybaby stomp pedal. And I was like, that shit's so sick. And we just like had a conversation about that. And then I played my set, and then we kept talking. And that was it. And I never saw him again. I still have not seen him in person since that show happened.
yeah.
But that is an interaction that small can lead to opportunities in the future that you would have had no idea, like, at all. Like, because imagine I was in a bad mood that day.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, imagine if I just, like, I just stayed in the van the whole time, or, like, was a dick to that person, or right? Like then that doesn't happen.
It's so easy to have like a bad attitude when it's like I don't know, you have these expectations. I tell people, like, when you go into playing music, I'm like, don't have an expectation.
Yeah, you're going there to escape expectations.
Right. Just go in there with a positive mindset and like just realize like, yo, dude.
We made it. How far did we make it? We made it 2 hours and 30 minutes. It finally happened.
You know, it's like, you know, you can go in and have like the worst attitude in the world, and it would totally like, whatever. In that moment, you're gonna have that moment. But like, if you go in with a positive mindset and just be like, yo, dude, like, playing in front of 10 people today, and we played in front of 300 yesterday. Like, and you treat it just the same. Yeah. It's like you never know.
Well, that's what's gonna separate you too. In the long run.
And that's like situation like. You know, you play a show and you have a good attitude regardless. It's like all of a sudden an opportunity happens. And, like, he wasn't our first pick. We already got a guy. And that guy did some weird stuff that I'm not cool with. And I was like, you're out. And then
two good working legs. And
good working legs. Yeah, it was just, he like, one leg wasn't messed up enough. And then this guy messed his shoulder up playing hockey.
Oh, no.
But then he texts me. And he's like, hey, man, I know, like, you guys kind of, like, found your dude, but, like, you know, if you guys, like, and I'm like, actually, we just ejecto-citoed him. He's gone. What's up? Here's the song. Like, I'm like, learn it. And then he goes and learns it. And he's like, do you want to do it, like, beat for beat? I'm like, yeah, you know, maybe just, you know, do a little bit of your own flair and stuff like that. And then, like, we practiced with him. And I was just, like, watching him. I'm like, okay. And then, like, I think it was, like, week 3 of us practicing. And all of a sudden, he was like, hey, like, what do you guys think about this? And I, like, looked at him and I went, yep, that's the guy. Like, that's the guy. Like, he literally showed out. And I was just like, this guy's cracked. And then, like, we played our first show and everybody's like, what the fuck is with your drummer? He's insane. And then our prior drummers, we had 2. They both texted me 2 different days and was like, yo, dog, that drummer is insane.
Dude,
I can't even play the shit he plays. He's insane. And like one of our old drummers, actually we've played a couple shows with him now, and he's just like, nah, Jesse's cracked, dude. He's like, I'll never be able to play with that guy plays. He's insane. And our other drummer is like, he's in like a more like little like, what is it, like a hardcore like Hispanic like kind of like band. Yeah. And it's like
his mother?
Manic is man.
He's like, yeah, man. He's like, I thought I was good at drums, and then I watched him play. And he's like, that guy's insane. And I was just like, I guess we found the guy.
Yeah, basically ruined it. If you
you ruined it for everyone else.
Shout out everyone in the scene. I hate you all.
And on that note,
I hope you feel bad.
On that note, our mental health check.
Yeah, no, man. You're too kind. Honestly, I was just super excited about the opportunity. I'm in a very fortunate situation right now at home where I can have my drums set up in the living room.
Sick.
So I practice about 2 hours a day.
His neighbor's deaf.
Yeah, I have a single neighbor. I have a duplex.
Literally, he told me that. I was like, you could not have gotten any luckier.
Yeah,
like, you're a
honestly,
drummer with
dude,
a deaf neighbor.
Like, I had a crazy end of the year last year. I had a 6-year relationship end, and I moved out on my own for the first time as an adult, because when I moved out, it was with her. Mm-hmm. So going through it, right, like in some really dark times, and that was the green light. I moved in. There was one day where I just assumed it's a shared wall. You know, it's the only house out there. We're surrounded by vineyards or in wine country, but like it's a shared wall. So I was like, I'm going to have to find a place for the drums, but it's not going to be here. And there was one day where it was to film the fucking audition, actually, now that I think about it. I was like, hey, man, I can't get studio time. I'm going to need, a couple hours. I'm going to make a shit ton of noise. And he just goes, and I'm like, what? And he's like, I'm deaf. I was like, so do you care? He's like, no. I'm like, holy shit. So I called my roommate and I was like, I need you to just bro out with me here for a second. Can I please fucking do this? And he was like, yeah. And so most of the time I'm home before he gets home from work anyways. So Yeah, it's like
just free.
Get home. I literally change out of my work clothes. I go straight to the kid every single day.
You actually hella do. I didn't think about that. Like
No,
literally,
I play
like we'll
day.
text him and I'm like, and he's like, "Give me a minute. I'm actually doing something."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, never mind. He's playing drums."
Yeah.
I've kind of keyed on it now. Like the first 2 hours of him being off, I'm like, I think you don't text me back to like 6:37.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
And I'm like,
free.
oh, he's like,
That's what
he's
said.
locked in. we say we're locked in. We're like, oh, are you locked in? He's like, he's locked in. He's locked in, bro. Like,
I
don't
take
talk
that
to him.
shit really seriously, you know. I mean, I've never. This is again. You want to talk about like a inner child opportunity? Like, I haven't had a drum set in my house since I was living with my parents in high school.
Damn.
You know, like the opportunity to have that is such a gift on its own.
Yeah.
And
Especially for drums.
yeah, bro,
Yeah.
like come on,
Good luck.
seriously, like I.
Pick the instrument that's like the hardest to get away with.
Yeah, man. I
Yeah.
mean, and like not only that, but like not even to play like a practice pad kit, like to really just have my fucking setup in my living room all
Game
the
reps.
time.
Getting game reps.
Yeah, seriously, because like I can work on anything at any time. It's like I have a whole regimen that I do. I'll run my set for each band at least a couple times a week. I'll do hours of endurance practice for, you know, blast beats and fast stuff like that. I'll dedicate time to learning rudiment stuff.
Every drummer right now is like,
No, seriously, it's
dude's work.
But I lived in an apartment.
Martin.
I lived in an apartment. Y'all don't fuck with Martin, whoever that is.
No, actually, it's my best friend. But,
I figure as much.
dude,
but
Martin is it's upsetting.
Martin played drums in No Bragging Rights. Plays drums in No Bragging Rights.
Yeah.
Plays drums in This Madre. Also played on Torture Culture's original record.
okay.
Played in like 18 other bands.
Yeah.
And he fucking rips.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, filled in for 6 Year Guns.
Filled in for 6 Year Guns.
Oh shit.
Jesus, that's tight.
I don't even think I can name some of the bands that have asked him
That's
to
super
play
sick.
in,
Yeah.
but he's declined.
Yeah.
But basically, like, Martin rips, and like you show him a song, he can learn it without even playing a kit after, what was it, 5 listens?
Yeah.
Like that type of shit.
That's what I'm aspiring to be at,
Yeah.
because I'm doing a lot of session work right now too. So like I've taken I got my actually got my gig with 4199 originally because they had 2 days before a show.
Oh, shit.
And they had a 6-song set, and they were like, how fast? I was like, can I get one in-person practice with you guys? And they were like, yeah. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So we give Martin a ton of shit because
Yeah.
like everything is effortless to him.
Yeah.
No matter what he does. Same thing with drums. Like he got on the podcast and somebody asked like, how often do you practice? He's like, I don't ever practice.
Yeah.
His practice is like when he's driving.
Yeah. He just
Well, I think that there is a certain level that you can get to with any instrument really, but like specifically I've noticed about the drums where it's noticing, it's like a how to think instead of what to think.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because drums are so subjective, like they don't have to be perfect. We get very lucky with that, right? Like if you're filling in on a guitar, you have to hit the notes, right? Or it's gonna fucking sound wrong. But if you fuck up a fill, or if you play, you know, a different type of beat behind something, it doesn't ruin it. As long as you keep, like, one of the first things my drum teacher taught me when I took lessons was if you fuck up, repeat it, and it'll sound like it's intentional.
What if you don't know
Right.
what you've did?
Yeah, exactly. But like, I think that because I fucking wish I was like that. But
Yeah.
like, if I don't practice blasts, like that muscle endurance is gone in 2 weeks.
Some people just got it, man.
Yeah, and it's tight. It's a mind muscle connection for sure. But
And
like,
working hard, dude. I'm the same with vocals, dude. I have to work.
yeah,
on my vocals.
absolutely. But like, I think it's a combination of like having to do the work, but also at this point just being like so fucking privileged to have the setup that I do now. After years of like, I stopped playing altogether from COVID until 2022. I took 2 years off. I didn't touch a drums, like even a drumstick, let alone a kit. You know.
The crazy part about this band is actually all of us gave up on music.
Yeah.
Like every single
Bunch of
I think
every
you
single
have to.
bunch of
became on
quitters.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden we're like, nah, we're gonna do this. Like even our guitarist Thomas, I think he quit for like 5 years. He was like tapped. He was done.
I was a tow truck driver for 6 years, and I was ready to kind of like your career.
Yeah.
I was ready to just do that for the rest of my life, and then
Yeah.
pandemic happened. I made it on the ESP page because I started like making guitar videos.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit. And then these guys hit me up, and I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
You're at 32 years old, still do it.
And your guitar player is like in the RV. You're like riffing.
He's
right
probably
He-
writing a
he's-
song right now.
He's literally like,
Or he's fighting off
He
homeless
probably
people.
gonna see-
dude, like day one of tour, he literally like all of a sudden like builds this whole entire computer desk like thing. Like he's just like blah, 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 and then we're just like okay, and then all of a sudden we're like, where is he? And you just hear like.
Yeah, you hear it without the fucking amp or anything.
Yeah. String noise.
Yeah, and he's got like headphones and he just.
Yeah, he's into the guitar, man.
He picks so
Yeah.
fucking hard, it's crazy.
Well, that's because Nick.
Yeah.
Nick was like digging, and he's like, ping, and we're like, oh, there goes a string.
Yeah.
Nick,
I want me to do that too, but I can't do that with bass strings.
Yeah. It costs way more for me to replace these.
and then Nick's like,
Plus we're in drop
Ernie
F, so
Ball.
he's playing bridge cables on his bass. You know, like
You guys are in F?
yeah, bro.
Yeah,
Play
we're
a 5-string or a 4?
5
Yeah.
5-string LTD, and then I have a Epiphone Explorer 5-string.
Okay.
What I appreciate about Thomas is that he plays an F, but he uses the whole guitar.
Yeah, he does.
Good.
Like
he really does. Like, yeah.
He'll be up here doing
that causes
crazy
me to use
shit.
the whole
Yeah.
bass, too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Jesse and then Dan from Torture Culture are both trying to convince me to buy a 7-string, and I'm like, I'm not gonna use that string,
Yeah.
and if I do, I'm not gonna use the high E ever again. Like that's just
When I was,
just get a baritone.
Yeah.
just get a baritone.
8 strings. Yeah, we were using 8 strings. And
Insane, bro.
Yeah, that's just crazy. That's crazy.
8-string Agile at the time. Agile Supper.
mental health check.
Oh yeah, mental health check, guys.
Word.
And then let's get out of here so we can like get some food.
Get some
We got
coffee.
on the road.
Word.
Mental health checks. We like to check in weekly, see where we're at mentally. That way, things are going well. What's going on in our lives? What's keeping us in a good place? And if things aren't going so well, maybe what's keeping us in a funk. So, Greg, would you like to go first?
Yeah.
You watch the show, you know what we do. here.
Yeah.
Where you at?
Yeah,
Where
I
you
do.
at?
I do. No, dude, I'm in a really good place right now. You know, like leading up to the tour, I was really stressed. I was having a lot of like problems like with trying to figure out like where I was mentally with this band if I wanted to continue to do it before Jesse joined, and I felt really overwhelmed a lot. And I think the biggest thing with this tour is like through a lot of like checking in like with the homies, it really was like Jesse and I, like when I talked to him about this podcast, he was like yes, and the reason was just because he said something to me when we played Titan Fest, and I'll never forget it. He's like, I see you and I see the work that you do. And he's like, dog, nobody works like you. Nobody. I've never seen somebody who works like you. You work 100 hours a week and you still do band shit. He's like, you're fucking crazy. He's like, I appreciate you.
Man.
And like that's when I was like, fuck yeah. And like for the last couple months now, I've just been like riding a high because I'm like, I know that I'm being seen for the first time as an artist and as a friend. And like that's like, this is my homie. Like this is one of my best friends. Like I feel good for the first time in a while. So like that shit means a lot to me. Like to be actually seen and heard and see my work. So yeah, I'm good. I'm really good for once.
And this can't be again. I don't know if you never toured. It's hard to understand, but they're finishing a tour, and he's saying this.
Yeah, that's
Like-
that's huge.
Yeah. Not every band comes back at the end of a tour, and they're like, "I'm in a good place."
Yeah.
I would say it's probably more common to not be.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, yeah.
Yeah.
When you leave tour, and then there's the band.
But maybe we'll check in with you in like a week when that post-tour depression kicks in.
Bro.
Dude.
How you doing, Greg?
We'll see how you guys are holding
Fucking
up.
crying. Crying in the shower.
How you doing, man? What?
I just want to play band with my friends.
I go home.
I want to go back.
I almost died.
Jesse, where you at?
Man, I honestly I think I'm stuck in a positive way. I'm very excited. This was a super sick experience. Like I said, it's my first real tour that I got to go out on. A lot of highs, a lot of lows, all of that. I think it was very helpful to prove that I do want it, and you know, like it's kind of weird. I was really starting to hit my stride the last couple of days in terms of like my body adapting to like what the hell I was putting it through. So I know that for a longer tour, I'm going to be able to like, it's going to get easier after that first like week and a half. But this is one of the things that's persisted through the years for me in terms of like mental health challenges is I'm like so viciously type A in terms of like wanting and needing it now, that kind of shit where it's like, this is the most excited I've been in a band, right? And like, again, the networking that we have in place and the things that we have coming up, it's really not a question of if we're going to make it. In my eyes, it's when you just, all you got to do is do the work, right? And I'm very privileged to be in that position and be able to point at certain things when doubt comes up and go, no, like that's happening, you're gonna be fine. My problem is when things start to go right, I want to get to the end goal so bad that I feel like I'm failing, like retroactively. Like my brain does this really weird thing where it's like, oh, you're succeeding. So now the problem is you're not succeeding fast enough, you know, like the goalposts get moved where like I've been begging for this for years. I've wanted to be out on the road. Like I had this really emotional moment to myself on the first night of tour where I was trying to fall asleep in the RV. I fucking couldn't because bed's doing this. And like, you know, I'm fucking sitting there like getting frustrated that I can't fall asleep. And I like actually flipped that around really hard to the point where I started crying because I was like, dude, like I've always wanted to fucking do this. I can't sleep because I'm doing it. You know, like that's so fucking cool. So that was a good step, right? But like the prevailing sense is still like me freaking out that I'm not doing enough because we're not on tour with Boundaries right now. You know what I mean? Like there's
learn that
I want it so bad, and I have so many friends now that have made it, right? Like I'm shout out Spencer from Snuffs on Sight. It's like my best friend at home. Can't wait to fucking see him. I'm getting home tonight. I'm gonna hang out with them tomorrow. Fucking miss their ass. But you know, like I have very close relationships with a lot of people that do this professionally now, which is like blessing and a curse, you know, because like it's fucking great because I have professional musicians in my corner that I can ask those like I can be very vulnerable with them, right? Like you can't do that with, you know, you wouldn't want to punish somebody that you don't know with that kind of feelings, but I can open up to, you know, Spencer anytime and be like, bro, I just fucking, I'm feeling so overwhelmed, and you know, like they can talk me back a little bit or whatever, but like it's so close and all we got to do is keep going. But I'm like, you know, like I just want to get there faster. And so I think keeping that in check is probably going to look like disconnecting for this coming week entirely. And just like, I'm probably not even going to set the kit back up until the day before I have the shows with my other band coming up. So just need a breather. Just need to step back and be like, you just did that. Like, you did it. You fucking did it. Like, chill out. That was a milestone. That was a goal you had. You set it. You did it. You did well at it. I think that we're coming in like 150 under total for this tour. Sick, bro. Sick. I was on the fucking road for 13 days. Played 8 shows. 2 new states.
A lot of gas.
Cost $150. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's an L I can gladly take.
That's a W, dude. I don't give a shit. Like as long as we're not coming back flat broke from this to the point where we can't do it again, great. You know, like, so probably just take a couple days, reflect, be really gentle with myself. You know, I'm probably gonna want to just start doing shit again, but like I haven't gotten a good night's sleep in 2 weeks, so I'm gonna go home, just fucking sleep and eat a vegetable for the first time. You know, like any vegetable would be
just the one. You don't want your body going to shock.
Like
you don't want your body.
He's like eating a single carrot.
Just have something
just
that
let it
might
know
have,
you're still thinking about
100%. Have something that might have come from the earth instead of a gas station. You know, but like, I think that like. It's a very positive, overwhelmingly positive feeling, and just also kind of triggering to that part of my mind that like is overly perfectionist and just wants everything now. So just giving that the space and like just gently presenting what we just did and saying, here's the evidence that it's working.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Dude,
it's that overused thing in like sports. It's like trust the process, but really,
no, for real.
You got to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really do.
Going back to your vegetable thing, I think it was Chucky that like reposted something the other day from this holiday, and it was like processed food was literally designed for you to eat.
Yeah, the meme.
Organic is just some shit that somebody found on the ground somewhere. I showed my girl that because my girl's plant-based. I showed her that. I was like, you see? And she's like, I mean, it's technically not wrong.
I mean, facts.
I don't think that there's any like real ingredients in what I had for breakfast this morning. I had like a 3D printed sandwich for breakfast today.
Hell yeah.
This shit was so gross.
where it doesn't even taste like the thing.
No, bro, it was like,
like
sausage, egg, and muffin. And I was like, no, it's not.
That was that McDonald's style stuff.
Dude, this is a piece of cardboard with spray cheese on it for breakfast, man. Fucking gross.
I'm getting hungry now, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Michael, where you at?
Oh man, I'm good. I spoke too soon last week about the van. It's still broken. So, you know, smog is a fucking scam.
Yeah.
Facts.
And basically the only thing holding it up is like there's a leak somewhere in your evap system. Smog. It's a scam.
Yay.
So yeah, I was gonna work on it this weekend, but I just didn't have time. So we'll figure it out. But other than that, I'm chilling. Getting a bunch of shit done with torture culture. I was supposed to meet up with Dan later today too to write some new shit.
Sick.
So yeah, I'm good. I'm in a good place.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
I feel like it was a week.
You've had a week.
It was a week. But I think the positive thing is like, one, like this would be very scary, but like my wife has been really like supportive and like understanding of what's going on and stuff. Because if she wasn't, how much like
Divorce.
it would be a fuck yeah.
I feel that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
So, it's been awesome. She's been really helpful with that. And then I think I'm just trying to focus on like, I know good things are coming. I know that. I'm excited about things coming with on the music front of it, with Easy Out. At some point, NBR is gonna. You know what? You said something, or maybe I forget. One of you guys said something that actually encouraged me to be like, for NBR, one of the things that's been frustrating is like, oh, we're writing, but we've been writing for like 2 years, and that's just us saying that we're writing.
Yeah.
But one of the things that like I know is going to be like at some point it's going to happen, and I know it'll move from there, is that I know a big part of why we haven't written is because Martin and the guys, they want to like get together. Our two guitar players live in Portland and Tacoma.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's a big thing of like everybody wanting to be in person this time, because we wrote the EP that we just released. Like that was written by our guitar players up there.
That's just hard to do, dude.
It's hard to do.
Yeah.
Dude, another thing too is that like right now, I was thinking about this the other day with NBR. When you guys come back, not only are you guys going to have the people that listened to you guys before that were fans of the music, but now you're going to have Desmadre fans coming over, fucking Great American Ghost fans coming over, and shit like that.
Oh, fuck, I didn't even thought about that.
Dude, that are like everybody at NBR is kind of playing in a different band at the moment. And then when the time is right, you guys come back for record. You're bringing, even if you bring like a couple people from each of those like fan bases, that's still new people that's gonna listen to your shit.
I hear you though.
Yeah.
Like writing remote doesn't necessarily mean you can't write good music or that you can't get music published. But
It's
it's
a different vibe.
I think it takes like the joy of it away a little bit when you're not writing with people.
Yeah.
You know, like when you can't bounce shit off in real time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that's, I think there's a difference. There's like a disconnect between somebody sitting right next to you and going, oh, try that, versus like, hey, I'm sending you a fucking wave file, like listen to it when you can, and then they're, oh yeah, man, I think maybe we tweak this one part, and then you have to be like, this part, like no, like I was thinking more like, you know, like
Like I know that for our EP, you know, it's like it's like a blessing to have our guitar player's own studio, right? So like our demos are like
almost there.
They're almost there.
Yeah.
You know, and so and him and our both the guitar players, they were good at like programming drums, which is cool because it's like this is what they're hearing, and then when they gave it to Martin, for him to kind of be like, okay, like I see what you guys are doing there, and it was like, we really just went from, okay, we have our songs that are done, not much input from us out here, you know, SoCal, other than just like we're gonna show up, and actually I had my vocals pretty much demoed out, but when Martin sat behind the kit, it was kind of like, what are we?
Yeah.
Is he gonna do exactly from the demo? And there's like some things that he brought that were like, oh, that's why Martin's our drummer. Like,
yeah,
that's real drums help, man,
dude.
Like they really do.
That's probably the realest thing you can say about music, because like each person inside of the band has an element.
Yeah.
And when somebody's like, oh, like this dude's the main writer, this isn't like, but like when every single component is there, and then you're like, that's why I do music with these guys.
Yeah.
Like nobody can play bass like my bassist. Like and it's subjective. It's how you feel about it. But like for me, it's like I know how Thomas plays guitar. I'm like, holy shit, this guy's crazy. And then I watch Sergio go and do it on bass, and I'm like, fuck. And then Jesse's over here just writing cracked out drums, and I'm over here going, all right. And I'm like, how am I gonna do this? And then I track vocals, and they're like, you're fucking tight. And I'm like, bro, I'm just trying to keep up with y'all.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm like, but it's like every single one of us are complimenting each other because we're all just trying to like push each other that much harder. And I'm like doing everything on the downbeat on a whole record instead of on time. Why? But it's because they pushed me to do that shit. Like those people mean something. And when you have that moment with Martin, you're like, that makes sense. It makes sense now.
Yeah. I'm excited, right? Because we're gonna have, this will be a completely different like process of what we've always done in the past. And so because we have you know, I really don't know where we're at with one of our guitar players as far as like what he's gonna be bringing or not bringing, but our newest guitar player, like we're encouraging him to write, and so that's a whole new element to, you know, and I think I feel like we're all kind of open to like, what's it gonna sound like, you know, because we've been in band for so long. I feel like it wouldn't hurt us to like come out with something.
I mean, the new demo you showed me sounded a lot like Alsaybar, so you know.
But anyway, so yeah, all that to say is you know, it was a rough week, but I feel like I'm still able to keep in a good headspace, and you know, music has been helpful. Actually, just driving here today was actually nice. I got to sing. And
little karaoke car session.
Oh, dude, I am.
Yeah. Bro, those are prime for vocalists.
Yeah.
I love that.
I actually recorded on my way here.
Oh, that's dope, dude.
Yeah.
That's super sick.
Probably not the safest thing, but
yeah.
Yeah, it's been nice. This is and also this is cool to have for us. Like we're blessed to have this weekly where we get to at least, if whatever the week's been, we get to at least unload on on this thing. But yeah, a good place. Excited for things that I'm positive about things turning around, I guess. So.
Good to hear.
I think like the biggest like thing that I could tell you, Mike, as like a friend from being just over the internet and now being in real life, is we survive 100% of our worst days.
Yeah, man.
And today or tomorrow, whatever it's gonna be another one. And I think just the energy that you've always given to me, you're gonna get through it, dude.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Also, if I'm fidgeting a lot, if you see me messing with my legs a lot, I hiked to Mount Whitney yesterday, which was like 7 miles.
Oh.
Am I in shape to do that? No, I'm not.
Your picture is so good.
Yeah.
But
Nalgas picante.
Si hablas español.
I feel like there's nothing left to say after that.
Yeah. And we're done.
Está bien.
Está bien.
We want to throw in some jams.
Yo.
What
Are we keeping the playlist? Is that happening?
Yeah.
All right.
I think at some point we should make a separate one where it's like just guests that we've had, and then another one could just be like a random like, hey, this is what, because at least for me, you guys can chime in on this. I like the element of like, because we've had all kinds of bands come through here.
I've actually found bands from your guys' like, dude.
Right.
Literally, I'm like, yo, this band's tight.
Yeah, same for me. Like I've had recommendations. I'm like, oh, what's up? And so I also like when it's like, you guys play your music, but it's like you guys also listen to something else, right? Like,
oh yeah.
So I like that element.
So then, that being said, what's one song for a moment's notice you guys want to add on the podcast?
Dude, I wish it could be the ones that are coming up.
Oh my god, yeah. I know. Fuck, Jesus.
When does that drop?
Sometime next year.
Oh,
We have a whole like. We're shooting 365 days worth of content, basically. Like every single day is going to have content being created before like next year even hits. So by January 1st it hits, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, here it starts. Like it's gonna hint that we're dropping a single, and then all of a sudden it's just gonna be 2 EPs all next year, and then the last day of the year is you're just gonna be like, okay, and then all of a sudden a sneak peek of the video of our next EP that we're doing a collab, and you're just gonna be like, shit, it's happening now.
Love it.
Fuck, man. Honestly, because it's just such a fan favorite right now, Victims has been pretty.
Yeah,
it's been
Victims
pretty
been popping
popping off right now for us.
And then you guys want like a just
what's something random that you've been jamming this
fucking
week?
Rat Race by Resider, dude.
Yeah, dude.
That song,
fucking Rat Race.
Like those guys were so sick. I think aside from that, I've been listening to this is weird. Vermin by Carcosa. So Rat Race and Vermin, but yeah, those two songs. Really just want to triple down on. If you're watching this, go check out Resider, man. Those guys are so sick. And go see them live if they come by. They've got some of the most fun energy I've ever seen at a show. So
yeah, dude, they're truly special, and I don't really know like how to like categorize them. I just think like you have to go see them.
Yeah.
They're just such genuinely good guys that like I'm super bummed I'm not in the same room as them right now.
yeah,
Like that's
try
how
to have
badly
them
I'm
on
missing.
for sure. They're also great guys. I mean,
They're from San Diego.
Same
Oh,
kind of
sick.
energy.
Yeah,
they're very
not
close
far.
to you guys,
Down the
but
street.
Dude.
all really solid dudes. I mean, we had some check-ins of how everybody was doing band to band, over the
Fuck
course
yeah,
of the tour.
love that.
So.
Yeah, they actually checked in, like mental health
was
checked
tight.
in with us, and like that was really like underrated. I was like, this is crazy. Like we don't know each other like that, but like they like checked in with us. How you guys doing? Hey, what's this? How's Sergio feeling? And I'm like, wild.
Yeah. It was
Like-
super cool.
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
amazing.
All right.
Like, what are you adding?
What do you got?
One of the tracks from the new Smokes 909 little 3-song promo that they put out. It's called Refuse.
Fuck yeah.
Rips.
I'm gonna add from the band Chlorine. I'm gonna add Dark Blue.
There you go. Fuck yeah. We'll hit all those on the way home.
Yeah, dude.
Got a pretty long drive tonight. I think we got about 8 hours, or might be closer to 9 with traffic. We'll see.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's a Sunday, so it shouldn't be too bad. But
Yeah, it's mainly we can only go like 60 max in that
Yeah.
thing. So it just kind of is what it is to get on the road and go. But
I love how unhinged our playlist is.
oh yeah, yeah.
It's got everything from like just
yeah, if you
Beat down to-
trying to grab some food.
Especially in my playlist.
yeah,
I play drums in a norteño band.
hell yeah,
Sick, dude.
So it's Mexican
Sick.
metal,
fuck yeah.
sick ass fool.
You a rocker fool?
Nick,
Rocker fool.
You all the high notes at the
Yeah.
school with the modelos and everything.
Did our homie Manny plays in like a rock band called Super Mega Deluxe. And their latest single is called Lowrider Heine.
Hell yeah,
And
bro.
it rips.
dude.
Well, dude, thank you guys.
Yeah,
for,
thank you so much.
Thanks for having
man.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was fun,
it's
man.
great
This
to meet
is
you guys, and energy in here is great, bro.
Let's make this happen on a nice little Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude, honestly, like I was like, I didn't know it was a bucket list thing, and then I was like, I hella want to be on that podcast one day. And then I was like, dude, I actually like went back after I like actually met you in person and like hung out, and I literally listened from the very first podcast.
Ooh, the early episodes were rough, man.
Yeah, actually, like for like weeks, it was just like I dived all the way to the beginning, like talking about how like Martin and like the bus accident and everything, and like, you know, like Martin kind of like, in a way, like not indirectly but directly, like kind of blaming himself for it and stuff, and like I'm like, damn, like that must have been so tough.
That was me.
Like
him.
That was you.
That was me.
Yeah, maybe I got them mixed up, but
Martin directly blamed him for it.
yeah, that's right. That's what it was. But like, you know, it's like I don't know, just like I got to know you a little bit, and like NBR, and like and you, Mike. Like I got to get to know you guys without getting to know you. Yeah. And, like, I think that was, like, the most genuine thing, because I was learning to love this podcast more, because I was like, this isn't talked about enough. Yeah. It's not.
Just being real, man. Just being real it goes a long way. I mean, to act like people aren't shouldering things is crazy.
I think the interesting thing about
especially musicians.
About the podcast has been that, like, we've done this, and we've played music for as long as we can remember, right? Mm-hmm. But now people start coming and talking to us about the show at shows. Mm-hmm. And it's more interesting when they have like podcast perspectives on things where they talk. Yeah. Like I'll have people walk up and talk to me like they know me, and I'm like, I don't know who.
Yeah.
Who are you? But they like know so much about us because they listen to the podcast, and it's like, oh,
that's super
sick. That's cool.
You guys created something truly special here, like something that like. Is like when I remember I saw the flag and I was like, yo, what the fuck do I gotta do to get one of these flags? Like I was like, because I thought this was a flag originally.
Oh, the big banner
and I was like, yo, that thing's hard. I want one. And I was like, I just want it in my studio just to be like, yo, because I feel like, you know, like I said, like this isn't talked about, and it's like getting to know you guys it's such an honor, like to like. Like you walking up to me and giving me a hug, like I was like your friend for 10 years now. I was like, this is so tight. This man's the nicest human being in the world. I was like, so sick.
That was a rare occasion. I normally am not like that.
You were geeking though.
He was horny.
Híjole, mijo.
It was all time frame. You didn't have a beard, you know.
All right, well, thank you guys.
Plug some socials and let's get out of here.
Yeah. We're a Moment's Notice official on every platform except for Facebook. It's just a Moment's Notice. And just follow us on Spotify, Apple, whichever your streaming platforms is. We have a lot of music coming out next year. Like a lot. And the following year we have multiple music videos coming out for one specific project.
Yeah.
So 5 to be exact. Possibly a DVD that will be turned into / movie kind of thing.
Dude.
Documentary.
Yeah. It's going to be the most special thing we've ever done.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Well, thanks, at Walking Blind Pod for us. Love you guys. Peace.